All right, we in here.
Hey, we out here. We're in here. How's it
Oh yeah,
going,
did I say
everybody?
did I say that wrong?
No,
My
you said
ling
it right.
my lingo's off. East Coast West Coast thing now.
What's our episode number? Episode what?
85.
85. Wow. And
85.
boy, what an episode. What a spicy episode we have.
Woo! What a spicy one. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be fun. Sorry for everybody who's watching live now that we had waiting a little bit, as usual. Technical difficulties with our live stream, but we're back regardless. Thank you everybody for waiting and sticking around and joining us. We got a lot of shit to get into today, so do you want to kick it off with the spiel and then we'll move it on?
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it off with the spiel. So please, everyone, welcome to Jump Street. Please, if this is your first time, follow us on all of our social media platforms. Go to our YouTube, give us a subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So when we have a show going on, you can come join us and watch. Instagram, give us a follow. We have an iTunes. If you go there and listen, please give us a 5-star rating. You can leave a comment as well. The interactions really help. And if you are interested, you could also become a Patreon member for as low as $1. With a Patreon membership, you have access to exclusive content. We just put out a new segment called Inside Out. We also have a segment called Three Piece, and we are working on other segments called Old Gold and so on. So you can become a Patreon for as low as $1 a month. Check out our stuff there, and you support the show. You support us being able to do things, and it really helps with us because, it's Jump Street. On this show, this is where we like to deal with the big issues, So
We had a lot of good
please.
feedback from the last your last Inside Out with the top mistrial, so we're glad everybody liked it. We got a lot more of those coming. Billy's going to film some more. We're going to get other people to film others. Whenever the snow melts in New York, I'll film a couple. But speaking of our Patreons, I want to just give a shout out to our new supporters in the past week. I want to give a quick shout out. Thank you so much to Kevin Dugard, Benno Thomas, Michael Weitzman, Kyle Singer, Mike Cassis, Bill Nabil, Danny May, Harold Cole, Nathan Thompson, Peter Hammersley, Noah Say, Patrick Evans, and Braxton Martin. Thank you all so much for supporting us and being a part of the Patreon community. We are also going to bring in something this week that we haven't done in a while, but now we're on a new platform. We could do stuff like this again. We want to bring back the WTF of the week. So, ooh. Were you not ready for that one? Did I bring that in too quick?
No, very excited about this.
I feel like I caught you off guard. We were kicking off with a really, really good one and a really unique one as well. This one is from Roller Skate Twins. So I lost it again. Here we go. WTF with Roller Skate Twins. You see that on your end, right, Billy?
Yeah.
If someone has a name for this one, let us know, because it's like a negative acid, but like a negative citric acid, but it's not either of those. It's some other shit. But there was only one girl there, but it's a twins.
I actually sent that clip to Farmer because I said, Farmer, do you know the name of this clip? Because the dad that runs the account, I've actually been in contact with them. They're like two 10-year-old girls from Sweden that just rip. And he said, hey, what is this trick called? And he sent me that. I was like, I don't know. I sent it to Farm, and I was like, Farm, what's that called? And we were like, I asked a few people, and everyone was like, I asked Miguel. No one had an answer.
This girl's have to name it then.
Yeah, so they got to name it, and I figured it could go up as the WTF of the week because it just makes sense. If we don't know what it is, it's totally WTF of the week.
That's instant qualification right there for WTF if you can't figure out the name of it. But if you're watching Roller Skate Twins or their father, let them know that they got to name the trick now. So if anyone has any suggestions, also shout it out in the comments below. But Roller Skate Twins, you just invented a new trick. So congrats on being WTF of the week. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Blank by Rollerblade. Keep an eye out for Blank by Rollerblade. They have a lot of cool stuff coming out this year for 2021. New designs. They have a nice new team. We got Sean Keane, Sven Bokerst, and are you kidding me right now? I'm having a complete brain fart right now.
What, Taylor Coburn? We got Taylor Coburn.
No, Cameron Talbot. Oh my God.
Cameron Talbot. Okay. Sorry.
Jump Street veteran too as well. So I'll play a quick video of them shredding right now for you guys to all check out. So check them out. Blank by Rollerblade. By the way, Cameron, all I had thinking in my head was just dreadlocks, and I couldn't think of your name. I had a complete brain fart, but so sorry for that one. You were gonna say something?
No, shout out Blank. And it's funny. It's funny that you were thinking of Cameron because I was just talking to Cameron, and you said you were thinking of the dreads. And I just cut my hair. It was really long, and Cam was like, "Ooh, that looks nice." I'm thinking about cutting the dreads.
No way.
So you might have to start to know him by something else if that's what he decides to do.
That's a big move when you have dreadlocks.
Yeah.
That changes your whole aura. Like everything is just different.
It certainly does. So do we have anything else before we introduce our guest?
No, I think we're good to go.
Okay. I want to say this. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for joining. We know that there's been some controversy surrounding our guest, and hopefully we can get to all those things at the end, but we just want to enjoy our guest. He's an icon in our sport. I grew up looking up to this guy, and whatever we think on other things, I just think it's good to celebrate people who are just members of this community because it's such a beautiful community. So we all have our things, and hopefully we can address everything and figure it all out. But for now, those who are watching, I appreciate you watching, giving us the platform to do so. And I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
But I'm freaking stoked as well.
We're going to dive right into this one. We're going to dive right into this one.
Go.
I know we're ready. Our guest, Josh Petty, is ready. So let's everybody bring him on in. Hold on, we need the applause.
Yeah. Yeah. guys, wait.
Hold on. Is he muted? I think you're muted, Josh.
No, he's muted.
Oh no, I muted him. That's right. Here we go.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, you're back, Josh. My bad, I muted you.
I was saying I'm flattered that I got Billy all verklempt, all nervous.
He doesn't do that for everybody. It's very rare in the 85 episodes we had that he's been like that.
I'm usually a cool guy.
It's why you're drinking moonshine there, trying to calm your nerves.
Yeah, no, it's water. Josh, thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, man. You guys
I grew up personally. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you guys are the biggest name in the podcast business. So glad to be here.
Oh man,
damn.
I was
starting to do it. Didn't like me because I'm like, man, they've never even asked. And then Richard hit me up and was like, hey, these guys have been trying to get a hold of you. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to do the before COVID happened. I think you said you were going to be in New York for the Pope-Off. Remember?
Yeah, I was.
But that was like before COVID was a thing, and
or
we
the
knew
death
that.
pandemic.
Yeah. So that was like it had to have been at least a year ago, probably more than that. So it has been
Definitely.
a while, but we're here. We're gonna have some fun right now. Talk about some skate memories, and like Billy said, you're an icon in the sport, so I'm sure there is a lot to talk about, even though you might not think so in your own eyes.
Yeah, I mean that was like high school. It's so long ago.
Yeah.
No, I mean for me, I remember just like coming up watching forget suitable material, VG7, the England video, watching everything with the USD video Coupe d'Etat and everything regarding FP, and then going on to start your own brands, Rain and Second Regime, and these things, and I think about you at the MTV Sports and Music Festival, winning like one of the biggest, most famous things in skating history. So I want to get into all of those things, especially like the MTV stuff and those things that are really fascinating that was really unique to your time to be able to experience that really didn't last too many years after. But I like to kind of start things in a very organic.
Sorry about it. I didn't mean to cut. The MTV thing is like my claim to fame. Like so when anybody was, what'd you do? I was like, oh, I was a rollerblader, like on the MTV things, like the street skating. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, that was me. Like, oh, okay.
Everybody knows MTV.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows rollerblading, but everyone knows MTV.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, dude, I actually want to dive into that in a second. I don't know exactly so much what I'm talking to you about, but I like to start at a very pure organic place, like a book. I like to start in the beginning, and I like to know how you started or what was the catalyst that brought you into this blading community. When was the first time you got skates on your feet? Who was the first person that you looked to or the first video you saw that said, wow, that's influencing, this is what I want to do? How did you get hooked? What's your inception story?
Okay, so I was actually, I mean, I've been in the game for like pretty much since the start almost. I mean, I guess maybe like Jess Darenforth and Angie Walton and them and Team Rollerblade have, a little bit longer story than I do. But, I started skating before there was even really skating. I started like when I was probably 10 or something, maybe like 89, 90, 1989, 1990, something like that. And I didn't even know there was a skating. Like I was just in California and I skateboarded and I biked and I surfed a lot. That was like my main thing was surfing. And the way I started was I I used to ride my bike to the beach all the time to surf with and the somebody had some asshole stole my bike. So I ended up buying some skates from a friend of mine, some Zetro 303s, like the three-wheeled ones with the brake on the back,
Classic Zetro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there just so happened to be a little mini ramp that was right next to the break that we used to surf in Imperial Beach. So, when the waves were down, we would I would put my skates on. I'd go over there and skate the mini ramp. I didn't, and again, we didn't even know there was anything like that. I just know we skateboarded it. So I was like, fuck, I got my skates, but I'll try that. Anyway, I met a guy there, a couple kids, and they had the first Daily Bread, the very first one. It had just come out. And so that kind of is where it kind of started. I was like, oh, cool. People are actually doing this, like I had thought like in my mind before it even happened, even skating to the beach before I saw the mini ramp, I was like, oh, maybe I can grind on this like a skateboard, because there's a gap in between the wheels. I'd be messing around, thinking about it. And then just kind of found out that there was a sport, and it was just the very, very beginning. I mean, I literally remember seeing Daily Bread #1 when it first came out. Like, oh, that's cool, and then and then Dare to Air, that was huge. And then Chris Edwards was just the fucking coolest guy in the world. And then Airborne, the movie Airborne,
Oh yeah.
when that big span he does, or that big gap he does over the top, and the half pipes, the vert ramp stuff,
Yeah.
So, all of that, it was huge. And then from there, it just kind of, that I stopped surfing as much and then started skating more. And then, then there was Arlo. Then Arlo came out, and that was, that was it. It's Arlo, But, so that's kind of the origins. I've been skating before there was skating.
That's real, man. Yeah, I remember those. I remember those like early, very beginning suitable material, like Rocket Fish Brains. I feel like you were in the beginning of like that cutting edge part of, not so much like you're probably there, like you said, like at this around the same time as Edwards, but I think you were like on that just next part of the beginning cusp where you started to bring that cutting edge style that like Chris and those guys kind of weren't doing yet.
Yeah, I mean, I was a grommet, when Edwards was doing 540. So not that I was good, when they were doing that. I mean, I was skating a little mini ramp, like, trying to front side, but I was there, I actually bought a pair of knee pads off of Chris Edwards and when he had his store, the Birth Store, back in the day. Oh, but yeah, I didn't start, really getting on the scene until I think actually the first, so Imperial Beach kind of is right next to Chula Vista, right? And Chula Vista is where Brian Bell and all the heads were there. So we had like our little Imperial Beach crew, and then they had their little Chula Vista crew. And then we would kind of, since it's such a close city, we would skate to each other's place, to each other's city, or take the trolley or whatever. And that's kind of how I ended up starting meeting people and stuff like that. And was through Brian Bell and them. And then that's how I met Brian Smith too. And I think the whole suitable material thing, Brian Smith might have seen me in the MDR video. I want to say maybe MDR was my first video I ever did.
What's the MDR? Oh,
Making Dreams Reality.
Oh, Making Dreams Reality. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's a San Diego video Brian Bell made.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were involved with all the legends back in the day. Yeah, exactly. Chris Edwards, like, it's cool that you were inspired to skating by seeing Daily Bread 1, because I never heard of anybody who saw a magazine that it made them get into skating. It's usually like a movie, a video, MTV, like you said, X Games or something like that. The fact that you saw a magazine and that was like, wow, that's so rare nowadays too, because that doesn't even exist.
Well, funny enough, like I mean, the mag hadn't come out yet. I mean, we were already skating, so it was like, oh, this magazine just came
Yeah,
out.
before it, yeah.
And but even before that, I was, since I biked, I was like looking at my skates go, and I actually tried it. It just never worked. I was like trying to make little pegs, that I could drill and screw into the side of the skate to do a soul grind, because there wasn't really that. It wasn't even really a thing.
Yeah, no soul spaces too.
Yeah. So, and I had those extra 303s still, like, and they were horrible. But yeah, it didn't work. But yeah, so I mean, I was there, like, we were trying stuff that just had never really even been thought of it. I saw the whole thing progress. The whole thing is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were part of, like, some iconic brands during that time, and you were there from the beginning of Senate, for example, and you were there in like these early videos with all these like legends that you named and the inception of everything. So I'm just wondering what that process was like when you're coming up skating and you're starting to see some of the opportunity open up. You're seeing skating on TV, you're seeing skating in the movies. It's an exciting time, right? And you're hearing all these opportunities. People like Arlo, like, oh, I got these ideas. And it's like, yo, we're going to do this. I mean, I would imagine it was a pretty exciting time.
Well, that was kind of the coolest thing about it, was that it just had never been done, and I've always just kind of been into things that other people aren't really into, like, or I get a bigger kick out of doing something new, so, that was the excitingest part about skating, is it was just happening. It was the very beginning. And, the way I got really sponsored with Senate was, I was in Florida for a while living with my dad. And I was going to San Diego at that point every summer. And that's when I would meet up with Eric Shrine and all them, and Brian Bell again. And, but anyway, I was in Florida, and, the Hoax 2 tour, was coming through Miami, and my dad and, Morgan Pesco. I don't know if you know Morgan. He's
Definitely
a videographer in California. Big guy.
Yeah.
Big time. But anyway, me and Morgan were kids, skating the Spot skate park together, and, having, I used to stay the night at his house, and we'd skate this little skate park that he had in his driveway that we made. But anyway, me and Morgan went over to the Hoax 2 tour thing in Miami. My dad drove us over there, and it's the one stop that nobody knows about, because it was at the very end of the Hoax 2 tour, and it was like a little launch ramp in front of a store and a grind rail, and somehow that one day I could do 720s off of that. I've never been able to do it again, but that one day I could do 720s off of that launch ramp. And Arlo and Brooke saw it, and I kind of got along with them. They filmed everything, never used any of it, never even mentioned it was a stop. But then years later, I sent a sponsor me video to Brooke and them, and just hoping that they would sponsor me. And at 15 or 14 years old, I'm like sitting in my room, after school or whatever, and I got a random phone call from Brooke Howard Smith, like, hey, this is Brooke Howard Smith, like, and but anyway, and then I was on Senate, so on Flow.
Yeah, I like that.
That's probably so cool at 14.
Yeah, that's so sick.
It was way random, super cool. It's one of those moments. You're a kid, 14 years old, after school. You're not expecting, somebody to call you like that, randomly. Yeah. I didn't even know I had my number. I guess it was on the.
You wrote it. You wrote it on the tape, and the label.
Honestly, I don't even know, because I filmed it in San Diego, so I don't know how he got my number in Florida, but he did.
Oh shit! Damn, that's awesome. That the nostalgia of a sponsor me tape, which isn't even a thing anymore, because everything we do is a sponsor me tape. Every clip you do is posted online anyway. So it's like you're your own billboard.
Yeah, I mean, we even filmed it, me and my brother, with the big camera,
Nice.
Like the big one that that had the tape, the VCR tape in the fucking camera, like.
That's what I started filming skating with too, with me and my buddies, the big shoulder rig.
Yeah.
And no, that was the way to do it back then. I also, something that's also like timeless with your skating and your story of your career was that you dropped out of high school, right, to be a pro skater.
Yeah.
And that's like, nothing.
Well,
You can't do that now because like no one's making any
uh,
money to do that. It's like you
I
just
mean, I did drop out, but I dropped out into a shady little homeschool program. So I got a diploma
Mhm.
from actually the school that I was attending. They had this thing in California where you could do that. You could go to this little homeschool. It's for kids that were in gangs and shit that got kicked out, so they could still graduate.
Mm.
But yeah, at 10th grade, I was, or in the first couple months of 10th grade, I was done.
Was because you were traveling too much or what?
Yeah, I mean, I was just making great money. I was making, 15 years old or so. I was making, maybe 16. I was at the time. I was making, $4,000 a month plus contest winnings. So
Oof, that's good
yeah,
for
doing all
yeah
right.
for a kid in high school. Definitely, that's
Yeah,
awesome. That's really
yeah.
cool. Yeah, no one could do that nowadays. So that's like interesting to hear people's stories about that back. I know like you, I think Haffy, dropped out of high school to pursue skating. Everyone still has diplomas and stuff too. So it's not like they never got an education or you never got an education, but it's
Yeah.
just a different way of going about it.
Funny enough, I was actually like an honor student before. I mean, I was a really good student and was planning to go to college for wrestling and stuff like that. Who knows what I would have gotten into if I wouldn't have been into skating. But and another thing, actually, one of my big influences back then, on a different note, real quick, besides Brian Bell, all that, was Dave Ortega. He was one of my favorite skaters,
Hell yeah.
and Ryan Jacklon.
Dave Ortega's the man. He still rips them on a bike these days.
Oh, yeah, he shreds on that bike, dude. I can't believe it.
He still shreds, man.
Oh man, he's wild, dude. Like I don't know how he does that shit, dude. At our age, it's a fucking trip. But I love that. I love that those guys. The FR crew was huge too.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, totally. Like that your crew and like that crew, like you guys were like kind of like the cool, like tough guys or like SoCal or something like that. It was like the cool crew. Like so, I think like you and like the New York guys always got on well, like Gil and all these guys and Rawlinson and everything like that.
Yeah, I love this. I
Yeah,
love this. Like I used to go every summer when like from 16 or like 17, 18, 19, I would go almost every summer and live with Ryan for a month or so. Sleep on his couch, maybe 2 months.
You
Damn,
you fit
that's
in well in
crazy.
New York.
Oh yeah, I almost moved there. Like I was really planning to move there, but when I ended up like falling out with my parents randomly. I mean, we're cool now, but at the time it was kind of like a fallout. Like I got arrested and then needed a place to they were going to take my car or whatever. So I had to bounce and Joe had an apartment and I was like, oh, hey, you still got that room. So, but yeah, so instead of moving to New York, I moved there to Orange County.
Sick.
Different scene, definitely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I
I
can
mean,
see,
Ryan,
I can
like
see you
part
fitting
it wasn't
well in
really
New
for the
York.
skating as much as it was for the partying with Ryan. Like,
Yeah.
like when you're 17 and you're in the club with and you're in the VIP room with who was the guy that owned Fubu? Russell Simmons and all those guys. I think Mace was there one night or something like that.
Damn.
You're like you kind of want to go be part of that.
Yeah, especially at that age
Totally.
too. That's the coolest shit ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a blast in New York City, man.
Were you rocking a lot of Fubu?
Yeah.
Not at the time.
That's funny. That actually brings me to asking you about like the MTV Sports and Music Festival, because I know like there was a lot of shoulder rubbing there and like a lot of there was your famous speech that you said in Daily Bread. You wish you would have done a different speech when you won the thing. Which do you want to kind of like grow on that experience, because that is something that skating has never really experienced from that point or after that point?
So I mean, MTV was probably one of the cooler. It was definitely the coolest contest I was part of, but it was definitely a cool experience. Inlines was actually one of the more popular things there. You didn't feel like it feels now where everything else is the hit, and then inline was like tagging along. It was really like inlines was like the more popular almost in skateboarding at the time, and biking. Like, so it was cool to actually be pampered a little bit. They pick you up and drive you to your hotel room. Then you have this big skate course, and you get to pick your own music, and the whole thing was just is full VIP treatment. So it was really pretty cool. And back then there wasn't ever, that was like the first comp, it was before IMYTA where it's an actual street comp. So it was the first competition that actually was a street course, so, to do good at that was kind of finally like, you could say, hey, or at least at the time when I won it, I felt a bit vindicated because all the street course skaters back then would be like, well, we would tear you guys up on a regular, if it was real street, we would show you guys what the gist is. And it was finally a cool time to be able to do that and show kind of what you could do. And then also to pick your own music, I was, able to time my entry to kind of hit some of the beats of the song and stuff like that. And then of course Wu-Tang was there. So that was fucking cool because Wu-Tang was the shit back then.
Yeah. Didn't you skate?
Yeah. And you skated to Wu-Tang, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The second Wu-Tang album that just came out. So I timed it so that I was in mid 360 on the entry, to where I said I bomb atomically and then came in. So I kind of timed that cool like that.
I gotta watch that again.
Oh, sick! You skated to Triumph.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, let's go.
I didn't notice the timing of the music though. I gotta rewatch that again.
Yeah, I can't remember whether it was the first entry where I landed or whether it might have been both actually. I think I tried to time the first entry of like the 180 or the 540, and then I also timed and to land on the beat, and then I also timed the little like 360 shifty I did into this little quarter pipe thing too. Or at least I tried to. In my mind, it was glorious. So I don't know. You'd have to check the tape on that.
That's all that matters, though. If it was glorious in your mind.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
No, it totally was glorious, man. I totally remember seeing that, and that street course was incredible. Like MTV, I don't know who they talked to, but they got someone to design something that looked really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder.
That was the other thing. They didn't make you wear a helmet. So it was the first time you could like feel kind of street like in a competition, because that was always a beef. I could be skating the competition course, they scream, put a fucking helmet on," and this is the first time you didn't have to worry about that.
That was the reason, because they wanted it to be more street.
I mean, I'm assuming so, but it was huge back then because the lawyers were all over the competition people trying to not get sued and stuff like that. So it was a big deal to like not have to wear a helmet.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Now, like thinking back on that, I now picture no one had a helmet on. Oh shit, I never noticed that. Damn. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's that was a really crazy time, and I don't know, for you guys that must have been just like super exciting back then, like especially with everything. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I didn't know if you were going to talk.
I talked.
I thought you froze.
Yeah, excuse me if I'm cutting you off. I'm not trying to. There's a little delay, I think. But yeah, the other cool thing was, there's all these hip hop groups there that we all looked up to. I mean, I think Tribe Called Quest was there, so Julio was like losing his mind about that. And then Wu-Tang, I think we showed that in one of the videos for England, or maybe Tribe wasn't there. I for some reason I remember Tribe being there, but then Wu-Tang was there, and I was losing my mind over that. And it wasn't like we were in separate groups. It was like the skaters and everybody was all backstage mingling, like we were all equals, and then, like your Fisher said, the speech, that all kind of just happened real quick. They're like, oh, by the way, you got to go up and say something, and, to be a kid, 16, 17 years old. And I was literally standing in front of like 40,000 people. Like, a lot of people, like you could see all the way to the back, and it's just fucking packed. And it was between two bands. So like, picture like a Lollapalooza fucking crowd, like huge. And you're supposed to say something. You get no warm up. They're just like, yeah, say something. I was like, what do I say? Like if I could have planned it out, I might have looked a little cooler than that.
Wait, so why was it you that said something? Like why
What's that?
You won.
Oh,
just because you won that?
Yeah, because you won. Like
they
didn't tell us like you were going to get a chance to speak. They were just saying, yeah, just go up and accept the award. So I figured we were all going to walk up there. They're going to, do the little, there you go. How's your father? And send you down the road. And then all of a sudden I'm supposed to give a speech. Imagine that you're first, 40,000 people, and they tell you, oh yeah, say something, by the way. They're like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah. Put you on the spot a little bit.
Rules.
But like then again, you got like all these people to cheer, like no matter what you say, because everyone's just so stoked, like
Yeah.
like
I mean,
And,
it worked out that way, but in my mind, like you could really
you didn't know what was gonna
really,
happen.
yeah, you could really fuck something up, and then crickets,
Yeah.
like, and that's on
Totally.
live TV or on TV. The whole world's
Yeah.
watching, and crickets, like that would have been bad.
Yeah.
And this is like people don't nowadays might not realize the spectrum, but like this is before the internet. MTV was like the coolest thing out.
Yeah.
Like that's where you see everything.
Mhm.
All the music videos, all the things regarding culture. It's there.
Yeah.
It's on MTV. So
Every
that
single
actually makes
person I knew was watching that. Every single person I knew was
Yeah,
watching.
that's so sick. Yeah.
absolutely
That
no.
age
It
thing.
was like once you did that, like, and those were the times when I was saying like there was MTV Sports and Music and like Festival, but they had like MTV Sports too, where they had like skating in there. Like Arlo was there, and
Yep.
I actually I'm curious about the perspective on, because I know there's always kind of been this rivalry between skateboarding and blading and all this. And I was curious if you felt any of that hate around that time, because it seemed like a time where skating was generally very much accepted by people. So was there like a hint of that, or was that like such a small thing you didn't see it, or was it like pervasive? What was the experience with that?
Oh, I mean, it was heavy the whole time.
Really?
You know,
Whole time?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. No, I still trip out about that right now. I told my wife, like, when I would go skate at the skate park a little bit, like out here, and I'm amping myself up like if I was going by myself to a skate park back in the day. I'm like, okay, I hope I need to bring my gun. I got my gun in in my wife's purse in case.
Jesus, you bring the gun to the park, Josh?
Yeah. Well,
Yo, don't fuck with Josh at the park. That's insane.
Josh.
no, it's like
It's not that
okay,
serious.
So back in the day, like you're a rollerblader, you go to a skateboard only like cement park, like at Burnside in Portland or something like that. Like you couldn't just go to Burnside in Portland, especially not by yourself. Like you get your fucking ass kicked.
Totally.
So I mean, I never had any problems because I was, I've never had anybody say anything to me. But I also never went to Burnside by myself. So I didn't know what to expect. Just I hadn't been to a skate park in 15 years or so, but at least it felt like. So but I go with my gun everywhere. So don't. It's not like literally.
Okay.
I'm. But anyway, but then everybody was nice. Like
Got crazy.
like all the skateboarders like, hey, I was cool. And so it really tripped me out. Like, and I was asked to talk to my wife and they're like, no, skateboarding, and Richard, he's like, no, we're all cool now. I was like, what? But back to
you didn't
your
get the
regular
memo.
question.
You didn't get the memo.
Yeah, right. But back to your actual question about MTV. Funny enough is one of the big skateboarders back then that was known for just beating the shit out of everybody was Mike Vallely. He was a hockey player and actually he's the lead singer of Black Flag now. But so that's pretty funny.
Mike Vallely?
Really?
Yeah, he's the lead singer of Black Flag. At least he was just a little bit. But
I didn't know
anyway,
that.
there was somebody started picking on somebody a little bit at that competition. It wasn't me, but I forget who was giving a little hassle to somebody. And Mike Vallely actually stood up in the middle of the fucking van and was like, "Listen, you guys fucking leave these because we were all pretty young. He's like, you all leave these fucking kids alone, or you'll have to talk with me." And everybody shut the fuck up because it's Mike Vallely.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, Vallely was just always the enforcer.
He was cool, man.
Damn. No, I've actually heard like in interviews and things he's like stood up for blading before.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. I mean, I didn't know him too much, so don't get me wrong. But he always was solid to us, and he was probably one of the few that was pretty cool. I knew a couple other pros, like Mike Frazier was a big pro in Florida that I got along with real good, but he was a vert skater. Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that about
That's
Vallely.
cool because I specifically remember like a lot of those those rain ads where you had like your foot on top of the skateboarder,
Oh,
you're lighting them on fire. You got the gas tank, and I remember like a big part of like the FP crew was kind of I guess you could look at it like we're standing up for ourselves, right? Because there was so much bullying coming from one direction and so much hatred, like, and just doing everything they could to slander the culture of the people who were doing it. But yeah, I saw you guys as like, based off those rain ads and those edits, you guys are like being vocally against that.
Yeah, I was a wrestler when I was younger, so I mean, I've always been able to handle myself, at least in a situation where I could. I mean, you could always get your ass kicked by a couple people, but I've always felt one-on-one I'd be okay, and so I always kind of rolled around a skate park with a bit of a chip on my shoulder, kind of almost like I wish you would, so I can, do something and get it on film, like.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that was kind of it. Like I hated that, the word fruit booter for so long. Anybody called me a fruit booter, we were ready to, it was time to go, and I don't know. I mean, just in California, in San Diego, growing up, I mean, I'm not trying to say get all tough guy on anybody, but it wasn't like it, you couldn't just say something to anybody. Like, these days everybody argues on the internet back and forth and it's just cool, but I've gotten to it with a couple kids already, just trying to, give me heat on the internet. And I call them out like afterward and they're shocked. And I'm like, well, you don't just say shit to people where I'm from and back in the day and just let it slide, and New York was the same way. Like, ask Gil, like back, like, if somebody said something to
I'm
you,
from New York, bro. I know.
Yeah, but I didn't know what generation you were with, but back in like that generation, my generation, when someone said something to you, if you didn't say something, you just got sunned, like, and that's not good,
Yeah, it's things are definitely, back in the day, they were definitely very confrontational, depending on where you're from. Were you from a rough place?
Well, in San Diego, like Chula Vista, it was, and Imperial Beach, there was a lot of gangs and stuff. But I'm not like saying like, oh, I'm from the hood or anything like that. But I mean, yeah, in California, like back then, you didn't really, if somebody said "fuck you," you better say "fuck you" back, or else, you were a pussy, like, and nobody wanted to be a pussy. That you couldn't live that down, like.
Yeah.
Well, skating's not like that anymore anyway, so
no,
you don't got to worry about that. And in this world that we live in anyway, you can't really talk like that. in certain ways.
I mean, I'm really like, I'm very out of place with the world today. I really am. Like I'm like Al Bundy in this world. Like I constantly have to just bite my tongue and because it's just so wild. It's different than what I was used to when I was a kid.
Yeah, definitely. Before we jump off the contest topic, I wanted to ask you something really quick, and I'm curious what Billy has to say about this too, because we talked about this on the Chris Farmer episode, I believe, like a year or two ago. But in the New York City NIS, I think it was in New York City NIS at Seaport, you 540'd the box the other way, the launch box, and it was the first time that anyone seen that or did, as far as like I remember anyway. Did you have a name for doing it like that?
No, I just thought it would look cool, like with the way you could catch it into the transition.
Yeah, like a pocket.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I always did a thing where when I was in a competition, I would try to link things to where I never just pass an off a thing. Like I a lot of guys would just roll over the thing to catch speed to go up to the rail, to hit the rail. So it always helped in my mind to hit a trick over something if you could, whether it was even just like a little like shifty or a little like, drag your toe or something, just something that looked cool. And I can't remember how I thought about it, but I remember thinking like that would just look really cool, to be kind of shifty 540 and then just land right into the pocket out the other side. But no, I didn't really have a name for it. I just figured it was 540 shifty.
It's 540 the other way. Because in New York, we used to call it like to negative jump the box. I don't know how we would say it actually. Like negative 540, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But when we talked about it with Farmer, he like had no idea, and me and Billy found out that I don't think anybody outside of New York ever called it that except for us. So I was curious if you had a name for it or called it anything, because I don't know who came up with that name.
Nope. I think you guys are the only ones.
We're the only idiots out there.
The only thing I ever named was at least I think the only thing I ever named was a Pud slide. That's named after me. Yeah.
How did that come?
I did it in I was the first person to really do it on a video, at least, or documented. And the guys, Eric Shrine and them back in the day before I was, petty, used to call me Putty, like, cause I had a little belly, and then they'd call me Pud Star. So then I think maybe Bo or somebody said we should call that the Pud slide, and then it's done.
I never knew that. What was the first one that was in the video that you did?
I think the first one I did in a video, I want to say it was either IMYTA San Diego, where I did the rail and then Pud slided the down rail, or I did it in USD video. I think I was in downtown LA and I did like a Pud slide 360 off of this ledge.
Oh yeah, like a little quick one, right?
Yeah, it was, But I mean, back when I was doing it, we couldn't balance it. People balance that shit now, but you just kind of had to smack it.
Yeah, no, I remember that. That was dope.
Yeah, and then the other one I kind of invented was Dominic Sagona does it a lot, and I think I did it in the IMYTA San Diego one. Is that little, before you roll up, you drag your foot backwards, and roll backwards one foot.
Like a head spin, right?
Yeah. But you got to do it the other way. You can't.
Yeah, it's like a body shift. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I copied that from a thing Ryan Jacklin used to say, that he always used to say that he wanted to spin a hip or a box and go 180 one way and then 360 the other way. Yeah. And I always tried that and it was just impossible to do. So I thought a cheat way to do it would be to shift, like body shuffle is like, body shuffle and then spin out 360 the other way. So.
No, I mean, you had a ton of like not only moves that you brought like that, but a lot of like signature moves, backside UFO, really deep with like a signature move like the fast slide.
I invented that one too. I forgot.
Yeah, like the quick spin to fast slide, 270 out, and these things. So there were definitely like all these great skating things that you brought to the table. I actually want to talk about the beginning of FP. FP was this notorious crew, Joe Navron, Dominic Sagona, Shane Scour, Billy Prislin, all these guys. And you guys were like known for like doing badass huge tricks and partying and like all these chicks and everything like that. Well, it was really cool. What was your experience with FP?
So FP was fun. It was really just our apartment, and the guys that we all hung out with together. The videos, of course, made it look a lot wilder than it was. The power of editing and whatnot. But yeah, it was. I mean, it just standard for Joe made it up. Really, it was just him and it was the future prospects, and the whole point of it was there people in the future you would be friends with. Future prospects. Mm-hmm. And then the whole crew thing just started, going nuts, and we just happened to have a solid group of skaters, that all lived together and hung out together and all that stuff. But the partying was, it was probably a little bit glorified in the videos. But,
it was just like the highlights, right? That's why it looked so
crazy.
Yeah.
But most of the time it was just a handful of guys getting stoned on the couch playing video games and watching skate videos and stuff.
Like, what do you believe?
But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun though. Like, it was like 3-4 years of just, skating and getting stoned and, having a good time. It was fun.
I actually want to, I don't mean to jump too quick from topic to topic. I just got a bit I want to talk to you about, but going back to your wrestling and like you being able to handle yourself and things like that and standing up for yourself and all this stuff. You had some beef in skating, bro. You had some like beef with this one. You had beef with that one. You back up here and you got some beef.
I've squashed just about all those now. So
just about all those?
Yeah, just about
every
one.
As an East Coast guy, I know you had a long-standing one with Jeremy Pedicini that was going on forever. I don't know, those who don't know, Jeremy Pedicini was he was like an X Games. He was a skater who was in the X Games from Rhode Island, and him. I don't know why, but like, how did that whole beef start? And I remember being there for one of the fights that you guys had outside of a bar in Philly.
Damn.
So,
Yeah,
but,
that was the only
yeah.
one. But if I remember right, it was really just pretty much what you were talking about, or what we were talking about earlier. You know, if somebody says something to you back then, you couldn't really let it slide. You know, you had to say something, and I think I might have said something in a video or something like that, or something about Boston maybe, and it might even have been an internet thing. You know, where if I remember right, but somehow he said something to me that I took as an insult, and I think it was an internet thing, right? And him and Joe, or him and somebody were arguing, and so I was arguing back and forth with them in some chat room or something, and they got a little mouthy with me, you know, and I said, look, you're chill out, and it went a little too far, and I said, all right, well, next time I see you, bro, it's on. And, and when I say that, I usually mean it. At least I did back then. I don't really say that much anymore. And, the next time I saw him, I actually flew out there just for the fight, really.
What?
No,
I
you
wasn't,
didn't.
yeah, I wasn't even in the X Games.
What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I heard he was going to be there, and Joe and a couple of people were already going out there, and I bought a ticket just to fly out there. I get in the fight, and I came home the next day.
What?
I swear to God.
Yo, that's dedication on another level.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand the world we live in today. Like, people get real mouthy on the internet, and they expect not to get slapped in the mouth. Like it makes no sense to me. Like,
have you had some interactions like that recently? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I forget who it was. Some, because I'm vocal. I probably talk a little bit too much more than my own good, but I must have insulted some kid. Because I said it's because I said pencil spins don't look good. And he was like, "Oh, they look great. You're a washed up piece of shit. Anyway, we were way better than you." And I said, "All right, buddy, fuck you too." And then he kept going, and I messaged him afterwards, said, "All right, buddy, I'll see you around." And then he said he was sorry, so that was it.
Josh, I thought you were a Christian guy. You shouldn't be fighting anymore. You're a family man. What's going on?
I mean, again, I'm not the most mature person in the world. That's the beauty of being a Christian, is that you can always ask for forgiveness.
That's good. We gotta always strive to be our best.
But I mean, I doubt at this age I would ever do anything. I mean, it would be ridiculous. One, I'm 40 years old. Two, I train pretty heavily, and it just would be stupid. So I wasn't really gonna do anything to him, but I also wanted to let him know that I'm not that guy.
You just wanted to let him know, pretty much. That was what it came down to. Just at least recognize, and then
I'm the wrong guy. And he got the message.
Do you still find yourself to be very like opinionated on blading? Like, do you find yourself to be like a critical figure?
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I was probably the asshole in the whole thing. So I'll take full responsibility for that. I can be an asshole sometimes. So.
We all have our moments.
Yeah, one of these days it'll probably get me in trouble. I'll run into the wrong guy, and I'll get stabbed up or something like that. But I mean, your last question. I get opinionated over it, but I'm also way out of the scene. So I mean, who cares what I think?
Well, along those lines, I wanted to ask you what you think about, because obviously style means a lot to you. And if you're like calling somebody out on their pencil spins, I know you were one of the most stylish skaters ever. And like, how important was style for you in that aspect then?
So, I mean, for me, I mean, the whole thing was I didn't really care how hard the trick was. It's like, it never really, that almost didn't really matter to me how hard the trick was. It was more like, did it look good? Like, did you think it out? Was it something that you were trying to, did you have something in mind that you were doing? You know, that's what the whole point of the whole thing was. I don't really understand the big like 540 spins to now. Granted, some people do it really good, and I can't never do that trick. So again, I'm talking out of the side of my ass. But to me, it just, if you can't make it look good, then what's the point in doing it? You know, it's like it's not enough. But I mean, again, that's just my opinion. What the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
But if you can't make it look good, I'd rather see you do a front side that look good. You know, and my whole point was, to the average person that doesn't know skating, they don't understand it. They understand something that looks good, but they don't understand how hard the big spin that the thing is.
Yeah, it's true. You got to make it look good for people who don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at least my opinion. Fuck. I mean,
well, I agree with you
sure.
that a little bit too, because obviously style is a lot, and it's hard to watch somebody skating who isn't like the most stylish skater, even if they are doing the craziest tricks. But I think that's just a generational thing also, because back in the day, style, I think, not saying that there's no stylish skaters now. There's a million stylish skaters now, but it was like more like we called each other out more when tricks didn't look good back in the day than people do now. You know?
Yeah. We also didn't have that. Those tricks also weren't even imaginable. So I mean, you kind of, everybody could do a topsole. So you kind of had to do it and make it look really good.
Yeah. I guess when frontside royale and solo are the only tricks you have for like a year, you better make it look good if you're doing it for that long.
Better make it look fucking great.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
Yeah.
But I mean, even Julio. I mean, John Julio has never been the most super technical skater. Like, I mean, maybe at his time he was pretty technical. So don't get me wrong, but he's got he only does a handful of tricks in his bag, really. But they all look really fucking good. Like he makes everything look fucking awesome. So, he could do soul grinds the rest of his life, and I'd still think that he's the best skater in the world, because he just makes them look that good.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you appreciate people
speaking
more.
of John Julio.
Go.
Of John Julio, sorry, got to mention this because you were on a team with John Julio in England and Dustin Latimer, which was, man, heck of a video, that movie Volume.
Yeah, that was fun.
And you had some good projects between that and the Second Regime. I was just curious, out of those, if you had any like fun stories or good experiences there.
So I mean, there's tons of good experiences. I mean, it was just such a long time. England was a lot of fun, because at the time, when I got onto it, it was just John, and John Julio was always my favorite skater. And so to get able to be on England was just fucking huge, and so that was always really a big thing for me, is to be on the England team. And then of course, Dustin, Dustin is probably one of the best skaters ever, of course.
For sure.
But yeah, that was an epic team to be part of. The best team, I think, as far as the most memories that I had, was the USD team, when it was coup d'etat and doing all the summer trips with them in Europe and stuff like that. Those were always,
and that tour.
Yeah.
USD tour video.
The one where I was hurt. Yeah, that tour, that was a lot of fun. I didn't get to skate much, but that was when I was on my way out, But the earlier stuff, like filming, when it was just the original team, when it was me, Shima, Arlo, the team that made the coup d'etat video. That was that was probably the peak for me of fun in skating.
Yeah, you were on USD from like the very beginning, pretty much, right? Like the first team, everything is set up. What was were you on?
I was actually, me and Dustin were.
The first
it was called Upside Down when me and Dustin got into it. The skate was a blue skate. It was blue. Me and Dustin and Shane. Why can't I think of his last name now? Shane from Mind Game.
Coburn?
Shane Coburn. And Arlo kind of made that company, into what it was. And then we were like, okay, well, who else do we get? Okay. And we kind of pieced, I said Julio for sure, but we didn't know if we could get him because Rossi's was such a big company, and they were paying him so well.
Mm-hmm. You came from
in the back of my mind, I think John always made more money than me secretly, though. So
On USD?
Yeah, I think he had a sweetheart deal that none of us knew about.
Damn, we got to ask him about that next time he's on the show.
Yeah, please do, because I want to know. I want to know what they were paying him.
Yes.
Because it wasn't the $800 a month I was getting.
Dude, I remember seeing a quote from you in Daily Bread in like one of the quote sections, like around disinformation, and it said you were talking to someone and said, "Yeah, you're gonna be sucking my D when I get that $25,000 check from Upside Down Skates." Remember that?
Really?
I was probably joking. They never gave me a fucking. I took a huge pay cut to skate for USD. Huge.
You came from Rosie's too, then, right?
Yeah, I took a stupid pay cut.
Just
I was
because
like
you felt the vision more?
Yeah, it was, I think I was making like $2,500 a month, on Rosie's, and then, getting flown around and all that stuff. But, the thing, me and John, I mean, I spent a lot of time kind of planning stuff out with me and John a lot, about the kind of what we wanted skating to look like. Because we always watched skateboarding, even though we kind of fucking skateboard, but we would look at it and like, oh man, we really we need to get skating to this kind of level, where skaters own the companies and where skaters have the say in what the companies make and the logos and the design and the name, and where skaters have a pro wheel and a pro frame and a pro skate, because pro skates had never happened back then really, except for Chris's tarmacs.
Yeah.
And so, we were like, oh, we need, skaters should get royalties off their pro skates, then they can really make some money. So the idea was, okay, I'll take the pay cut, to $800 a month plus a royalty from a pro skate, and then, you figure, okay, well, I'd make the back end on the skate and the frame and the wheels, all together, and the royalties off that. Of course, it never really added it up to enough, but to make it worth it. But really, the whole thing wasn't about money. It was about making, changing skating. The idea of how you could make money skating, and also how you could make a brand. Because back then it was like the skateboard companies all had the cool deck companies. You skated for, they skated for Shorties or Toy Machine or and we just had like Rollerblade or Rosie's, like K2, which was cool, but it was all big name brands. It wasn't anything like skater owned or anything like that. It's all corporate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the idea. And then once the whole team kind of got put together, it really became a cool idea.
Yeah, it must have been quite the pitch to get everybody on there, because you had huge names like you said, you, Latimer, John, Julio, some of the biggest names, Arlo at the time. So
but everybody was into the idea, though. It wasn't about the money. It was everybody had a vision of kind of what we wanted skating to look like in 5 years or so, and that was just felt like a crucial step, and then also at the time there was no frame companies besides 50/50, but who was buying really frames then, you had to buy their whole juice system and then all set, chop the other frames off your skate, so it also brought around the whole thing of, a skate with a frame, and you could customize the whole thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Putting the 50/50 frames, especially with like the juice system and stuff too, like you're finally able to customize the skate.
Yep. And it kind of, to us, it looked like it was like the deck, the trucks, the wheels. It was the whole thing, Mm-hmm. You could skate for this deck company, this truck company, this wheel company, and piece it all together. And we finally kind of had that in skating, where before you didn't have that. You skated for K2 and that was it. You skated for your Rosie's and that was it. You had your grind plate sponsor or whatever, but you didn't ever have a pro skate that was Josh Petty's pro skate with his boot and frame and wheel and grind plate all together packaged, with a signature on it and everything. Mm-hmm. So it really was kind of revolutionary, for the time.
Definitely was. That's even hard to get now, because even a lot of skaters now get pro skates, but not like a pro frame on it, pro wheel, pro grind plate. Like that's super customizable to what it is now. Usually now you get like a boot, that's it.
Skating was huge back then. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was so much bigger than it is now. I mean, you would go down in California and drive down the streets and there'd be packs of skaters going by, You know, every time you went to the skate park, there'd be packs of skaters, different crews showing up. So it wasn't like it is now, where like maybe every now and then you see one guy skate by or something like that. You know, it was really kind of a cool time to be in it.
When we see another skater now, it's like when two dogs see each other walking on the street. You're like, "Hey, you!
Yeah,
Yeah, you skate too? Yeah,
yeah. You heard of this?
barking at each other and shit."
Yeah, right. Just don't sniff their ass.
Definitely not.
So you were saying at like the end of the USD tour, you were like kind of on your way out, like on your way out of skating.
Yeah. So, you know, I had multiple knee surgery. Everybody was always asking me, like, why'd you quit skating? And it's like, well, I didn't really quit. You know, it wasn't like I decided one day, like, oh, I don't like this anymore. You know, when I had the first few knee surgeries I had was on my left leg. And that wasn't all that bad, you know, because I could most of my tricks I could do with my weight on my right leg, you know, but in the US, or in White Rabbit, yeah, in What Do You Believe In, on the 360 I did in the beginning, on one of the falls, you hear me really cuss and scream. And that's when I smashed my knee into the ground and ripped the meniscus pretty much out of that knee. And what had happened was I hurt it so bad that, and I had so many knee surgeries, I just showed up to my doctor. And I was like, hey, you know, I got a problem, you know, and he's like, okay, we'll just come in, we'll put you under and figure it out. And so did that, and I woke up, you know, going in thinking it was just kind of like the other ones. And I wake up and he's like, man, he goes, you're never going to skate again. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, we had to remove most of the meniscus on one side and almost all the meniscus on the other side. So you're pretty much bone on bone. Yeah. He goes, you just ripped it off completely. And he goes, so we drilled the bone on the one side and implanted some of the meniscus from the other one, hoping it'll grow. You know, and this was before they had any of the stem cell shit they might have now, or the synthetic meniscus. This was just, it was it. That's all you got, you know. So then after that, my knee's just never been the same, you know. And I mean, I could bumblefuck my way around and skate, and you know, I could probably, you know, at the time I could probably, you know, do some whatever, a royale here or there and have everybody clap. But for me, I've always, if I was going to do it and everybody was going to watch me, I wanted it to look good. So I didn't want to be that in my mind. I told myself, maybe it was a mistake. I told myself, well, I don't want to be that guy everybody feels sorry for that can't skate anymore, but is still trying to cash a check on it, you know? So it's time for me to kind of bow out and find something else to do. Yeah.
Was that a hard time? Because I know it was a tough time for myself trying to figure out the next step, what to do after skating. Or I know a lot of people had that thing, and I could imagine being so immersed in it as you were.
Yeah, the pain meds helped out. You know, yeah. I mean, that was a dark time for me. You know, I had some issues there with that. It probably took me a good, you know, decade to come to grips with all that, you know, because, you know, for me, I'd never worked a job, you know, I was, you know, ever since I could remember, I was famous, you know, for the most part, you know, ever since I can remember, like, you know, you think back, how far can you remember? Well, at 21, I could remember back to when I was 14, 15, and I was already somewhat famous, you know. I'd never had a job before. I'd never had a boss before, you know. And then not only did I stop not able to skate anymore, but I lost every company that I owned. They all pretty much went tits up because the industry was going out. So I lost all my money. I lost all credibility. I lost most of my friends. And then I ended up having to get a job at Home Depot. And I'd be working there at Home Depot with an orange apron, making $11 an hour. And kids would notice me and ask me for my autograph while I'm standing there. So it was a depressing time, you know, not to bring the whole podcast down, but I had a real hard time.
No, that's real.
Yeah. And I just self-medicated myself through it and probably nearly killed myself, you know, not physically trying to kill myself, but just from, you know, partying.
Yeah, no, I could understand that. And like, I know a lot of people have been through that, and I've been through some things like go too far off the deep end myself, but don't want to, I don't know your particular experience, but I understand that. And
Yeah, no, I mean, I went good.
But somehow through it, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I went a good couple years just, on a binge, trying to mentally deal with that, and figure out what to do with the future. I mean, luckily I was also getting married at the time and having a kid and going to school. So it wasn't like I was like crying in the basement. It was just really hard to like, figure out how to function in society, as a normal person. You go from like basically it's basically like almost like I would compare it to maybe what the child actors go through, like where Macaulay Culkin 1 minute is the Home Alone kid, tons of money, all that, everything, fame, everybody knows him. And then all of a sudden he's 20 and he's kind of awkward and nobody wants to give him a job. And then they fall off the deep end. It's like, I really relate to that. I know exactly what they went through for the most part.
It's a lot of life changes at once.
I could totally understand that and see how that's hard. And I guess like you had like a girlfriend and a wife through the whole thing who's stuck by your side, I suppose. But it's crazy how like from that you pulled yourself up and learned you became a mechanic through that. What was the steps to getting straight and taking care of business with the family?
Well, I mean, my wife probably saved my life. Yeah, I mean, my wife Megan, we've been together for 20 years, 21 years, something like that. You could see her in the background.
All through skating.
Yeah, not all through it, but I met her when I was 18, and
wow.
She was 16. And then so a majority of the time I was, we were together for most, sometimes we break up or whatever, and then when I was really done and hurt myself and all, we were, living together and through the whole thing. So yeah, she loved me when I was, famous and, and a cool guy. And then she loved me when I was laying in my own puke and miserable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she's a solid chick. I love that girl.
That's rad, man. It's good that
saved my life.
That's rad that you had someone by your side that you were, able to pull through for.
Oh yeah. Now, not a lot of people can say that they'd be with somebody that when they were famous and then they didn't leave when you didn't have anything. Mm-hmm.
That's love right there.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So then the transition was pretty much. I had always kind of been into motorcycles, growing up in California. My uncles all had bikes and stuff like that when they weren't in prison and whatnot. And my cousins. So my dad was kind of like, well, what are you going to do with your life? Like my dad's a pretty successful guy, and I was like, well, I don't know. I like motorcycles. He's like, well, why don't you go to this school? It's in Arizona. You can learn how to work on Harleys. And, because I was building a bike and riding a chopper around Orange County back then. I was like heavily into the punk rock scene at that time. And choppers were all cool back then, choppers and hot rods, So I was getting into that. And I just packed up a van one day and, me and my wife moved to Arizona and started, she was pregnant at the time too. And then we started, I just went through school, working at Home Depot, going to school all night or night shift Home Depot, then going to school all day during the day for a year, then graduated that school and then went to Florida to work at a dealership and then did that for a couple years and then moved back to California. Went to another dealership, and then eventually now I'm in Virginia, and I started my own bike shop.
That's awesome, man. That's a hell of a story.
Yeah, who knew you end up there?
It's not done yet.
I always wondered how the hell you ended up in Virginia from California.
Yeah, that was a weird one. It was, it happened right when the housing crisis happened in 2008, 2009. Everything kind of dried up, the work, because everybody was house rich in California, so nobody was getting work on bikes and stuff. So in Virginia and DC, I live right next to DC. In Virginia, the economy is always good here because of DC. So my uncle had a place out here. He was sick, and he needed some help taking care of it. Big house, and I could live here for free, just pay the rent or the bills and stuff like that. Not the rent, because there was no rent. But so I got a job out here, and we split the house and all that stuff, and then he ended up passing away shortly after. So then I just took over the house, and then, you know, the rest is history. Just kind of stayed here because the work was good.
Dope.
It's a big difference from the cushy SoCal life, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not California. Definitely not. I mean, there's nothing cool about it out here.
Did you get hit with any of this snowstorm? Did that come to Virginia at all, or no?
Oh yeah. It's fucking packed out there, bro.
Yeah,
it's freezing.
You don't get that in Orange County.
No. And there's no. It's weird. It's out here. There's no cool people out here. You know, like in California, everybody's cool. You know, like
That's
everybody
better,
has tattoos. Everybody, you know, everybody pretty much looks like me or Billy. You know, and out here, like I stand out like a sore thumb. You know, it's really weird. Even in DC,
true.
you know, it's. But yeah, there's really nothing cool here. But I've made a lot of friends out here. The business I run's pretty fun. And then jujitsu, you know, I got a lot of friends in jujitsu and stuff like that. And I do a lot of stock trading stuff. It's fun.
Keeping busy out there.
Stock trading to make some money on that GME.
I'm short, baby.
You sure?
I'm waiting for the bottom.
Oh shit!
But I did it. I'm like the hedge fund. They're fighting. I'm waiting for it to go down.
Yeah.
But I use what's called an options contract. I used a put. So basically, if it goes, and I did it small, you know, when it was up at like 340, I was like, this shit's going to the fucking ground, dude. Like, there's no way this is going any further. And so I made it. It's basically like a $200 bet, you know, that it was going to go down. So the most I could lose is 200. But if it goes down, if they go bankrupt in the next 2 months, I make $4 or $5 grand. So, yeah, which they probably will.
I don't know how GameStop is still around in general. It's like Blockbuster.
It's not, and that's what the whole play was. If people don't really understand it, it's like it's a bankrupt company. It ain't going nowhere. It's got a bad, business model. I know they got a new CEO or something like that, but basically the hedge funds were going, this shit's going to the fucking ground. And then all the guys in the Reddit room saw that it was so heavily short that they could easily push it up, because everybody panics when they're short and they got to buy it, and it makes the price skyrocket. So that's all that happened. It wasn't a big like manipulation, whatever they're talking about. It's just they started pumping it up, and all the hedge funds had to cover and whatnot. But the funny thing is the hedge funds are just going to make a killing, because all they did was they got option contracts like I did when it was going up to cover their loss. So they made money and covered their loss going up, and now they're making a shit ton going down. So if that makes any sense.
So you're trying to ride that wave.
Yeah, so all the GameStop guys are going to get broke, all of them, for the most part, unless something crazy happens. But most likely they're all going to be broke, and the hedge funds are going to make twice as much because they chased the price up. And what they should have done is what I told my friend that was in it with like a $50,000-$60,000 profit. I told him, bro, sell that now, $340. Take your money, at least 3/4 of it, and then let the rest ride. And he didn't. I know a bunch of people that didn't. And now they're wishing they would have.
Wasn't that the?
They're still going, hold the line. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
That's just dropping.
Yeah, when you go in the Reddit room, it's very similar to the QAnon stuff. They think that there's like some like vast plan for them to make money on it, and it's like, no, bro, this is going down like every pump and dump that's ever happened. It's going to zero.
It's done now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could shoot up a little bit more, but at the end of the day, in 2 months, that company will be back down to $10 a share, if not worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I knew more about stocks to talk about it, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going on over everybody's head, so they're probably
yeah, definitely. Well, there's a million people.
For a trader, though, it's interesting. It's like chess, You're like,
oh yeah, it definitely is. But there's a million people who never bought stock before, and we're just like, oh, GameStop, I know what that is. Should I just buy this and ride this wave? And a million people just bought stock for the first time ever in GameStop.
Which was a good idea. Fuck, I wish I would have heard about it. I didn't hear about it till it was already like 300, or like I heard about it was 90, and I thought, and then it went up to 300, but I still wasn't getting in at 90. And I wish I would have known from 10. I would have rode the fuck out of that all the way up to $500, and I'd have sold everything I had.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, you and I both.
Yeah. Yeah. When they go up that fast, they always come down. Always.
I don't know anything about stocks at all. I'm just like, yep, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well,
Manipulation, stock market, Wall Street.
if this ever happens again, get in when it's at the bottom, and when it goes dumb high, sell. Don't
buy
don't
low, sell high, right?
Yeah.
Don't buy
Like
high, sell low.
Got it.
All these guys, the GameStop guys, they're all trying to prove.
Now I know.
You know? And it's like the only way you prove a point to Wall Street is by taking their money. So when it's up, take the money. That proves your point. Don't ride it to the fucking ground. That proves nothing. So, I don't know.
Stock tips from Josh Petty.
Yeah, buy low.
Here we go.
Buy low, sell. That's the new. If Daily Bread was still around, that'd be quoted.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah,
That'd be the new
it's
quoted in
it's
Daily
a
Bread.
genius. It's a genius way to make money.
But speaking of how I just mentioned Daily Bread right there, I just gotta ask about this because it was such an obscure thing to see in skating that hasn't happened ever. But the issue of Daily Bread with your face on the cover, just your face on the cover, like how did that come up? Whose idea was that? What was that about?
I believe it was Johnny Donahoe's idea. Rest in peace. Good dude. He died a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But I believe it was Johnny Donahoe's idea, which is funny because he was a skateboarder, and me and him always used to make fun of each other, but in a friendly way, you know. We were good friends, and he, if I remember right, it was him that was like, it would be cool just to have just your face on the cover, and I was such an egomaniac at the time that I was like, fuck yeah, that sounds cool. I am very cool with that, you know. And not that I'm not an egomaniac now, but yeah, that was fucking cool, man. There's a few things that really stick out in my memory for memories of like the good times, you know, the things that stick out, and that's one of them. You know, the MTV contest is one of them. That's one of them. You know, the England video is one of them. Coup d'etat was one of them. What Do You Believe In was like another big milestone. Mm-hmm. The IMYTA that I won was a big milestone. So there's a few things that I did that, you know, were not a lot of people were able to do, and somehow I was able to do a lot of them in one shot. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you accomplished a lot.
Yeah, and all by dumb luck. I've always said that, you know, I'm not some super special great skater. I just, a lot of times I was just kind of in the right place at the right time. You know, the fact that I was in Miami at the Hoax 2 tour, I was just in the right place at the right time to meet Brooke and Arlo. And then, you know, I was in the right place at the right time to meet Brian Bell and them. And then the one time I went to the skate park and Eric Shine and them were there. And, you know, and even the way I turned pro for ASA was a weird thing of, I happened to be at the Universal Studios contest the first year, and I was on flow for Senate, and Arlo and them were like, "Hey, why don't you let Josh skate the course with us on the break?" So they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I started skating it, and I was skating it so good, they're like, "Well, let's just have Josh skate too." One of these guys dropped out, so then they let me skate, and that was my turning pro. Pretty much, it was just by accident. You know, I went from a amateur to pro just for that 1 year, and then the next year I won that competition.
Oh shit! So you won, you became ASA pro on that contest, the one that you weren't supposed
So
to skate?
yeah, I technically became an ASA pro the very first year they did the Universal Studios invite only contest, and that they could. I mean, it wasn't like they named me pro then, but then the next year when I went to go do the first ASA I won, which was Providence, Rhode Island, Arlo was there too, and he talked to Sean or Mark Shays, I think. It was like, "Hey, remember Josh? He was the last one. You know, you should let him skate this one too." I was like, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, he can be pro. You know, come on, you know." And that was it.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
Yeah.
So
and it was all because
awesome,
I just lived in Florida. I lived in Florida at the time, so I just happened to be, you know, an hour drive from Orlando.
Mm-hmm. You're just like floating on this magic carpet through like the skate world.
Yeah, pretty much. I just always happened to be in the right place at the right time. And a lot of it was first, like random things, like the IMYTA San Diego. My wife's still mad at me about that because I wasn't planning. I wasn't planning to skate it. I was just gonna go hang out because I was just getting back from a knee surgery or something like that. I definitely didn't think I was gonna win. And then later somebody called her while I was getting the trophy. Like, "You're Josh won." She's like, "That motherfucker." I was supposed to be there. But even that was just a random thing. Like I was like, yeah, I'll skate the warm up. Why not? And then I just had one of those days where I was just skating really good. And half those tricks I hadn't even done before. And I somehow did them all that day and linked them together and took home $2,500 and an IMYTA. Not a lot of people can say they won an IMYTA. Jeff Fredericks is still pissed at me over that because he wants one bad. He wanted one of those titles bad.
He fought hard.
He was close.
Yeah,
man.
he fought really hard.
Paris.
He got a little. I mean, I don't know. Shima was killing it too, but like
Shima brought it too. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, that when he grinded that ledge that fast, I think that pretty much sealed it. But that 540 that Fredericks did over the thing,
it's nuts.
Like he wanted that title really bad that day. I remember that.
Really bad.
He had "Eye of the Tiger" playing in his headphones the whole time.
Didn't you skate with?
Giappo.
Yeah, didn't you skate with him over the summer?
Yeah.
You went to Philly, right?
I talk to Jeff all the time. I talked to him today, actually.
Hey, me too. Happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah, he's an options trader too. So,
okay.
Yeah, so me and him talk all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and funny enough, I actually got Jeff back into skating.
Did you?
Yeah, he was telling me you were pushing him.
Yeah, it was all because I started skating again because I really hurt my back really bad doing jiu-jitsu. And I mean, bad enough to where like I couldn't walk for a few weeks. I just stayed on the couch. I had a jar next to me. I was pissing and shitting in the jar next to me. It was that bad. So after months of getting back walking again and with a cane and all that stuff, I started skating again because I was like, okay, well maybe the reason my back's messed up is my hip flexors are out, so I need to strengthen my hips. So then I started skating again a little bit just around the block just to get, some flexibility back and build some muscle. And then I called Jeff. I was like, you should get a pair of skates, man. It's fun just to skate around the block. And he's like, oh, no, Petty. I don't know about that, man. I fucking did. It's been so long. I don't want to hurt myself. I'm lifting a lot and, really in the Muay Thai. I don't want to get hurt.
Good Jeff impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I hear him every time. And he's like, "Yo, dog, no, I don't know, dog." It's And but anyway, I after leaning on him a bit, he went and just did the downhill by his house a couple times, and I was off to the races. Mm-hmm. And now I'm not skating because my back, I almost hurt it again. I was like, I ain't doing that again.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about you now.
And he's filming a section like.
Yeah, he was just skating the mini ramp at Shooters. I saw the other day too.
Yeah.
Before the snow
have you seen any clips? Have you seen clips of him?
Yeah,
bro,
he's good.
We went skating in Philly, and I'm horrible now. I mean, if I could do like a ledge or something, I'm definitely not hitting a handrail. With my back the way it is. And literally first day of like meeting up with him to go street skating, he's like trying to switch topsoil to kink, like this kink rail at the school, and busted his ass. Yeah, I saw that. He sent me that. Yeah. I'm just like, you fucking maniac.
You haven't
done a handrail in 20 years, and you're trying to switch topsoil a kink rail at full fucking speed, like no joke, full speed.
He was confident.
Yeah, he's feeling
overly confident. But yeah. He's been hitting rails and shit since then, though. I saw him skating Mecca.
Yeah, when he gets fired up, man, like he's ready. Like when he was going for IMYTA Paris, I've never seen him do a big gap 540 over a wall.
Yeah.
But he wanted that shit bad. Like he was ready to do whatever it took.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Giappo right there.
Yeah, right.
We got some heavy hitters in the chat too, by the way.
We got a bunch of heavy hitters in the chat. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We're gonna open it up for questions soon, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
First, we're gonna give a shout out to our sponsor, Blank by Rollerblade. Thank you, Blank by Rollerblade. Check them out. We just put out the trailer for them. Cameron Talbot, Sean Keane, Sven Bokerst, Taylor Coburn, and they're working on things right now. So check that out. And follow us on all of our social media platforms. The Spiel, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes. We have a Patreon. We have exclusive content on the Patreon, so check that out. Before we get into it in this chat, Josh wanted to ask you something. You're a person of controversy, great controversy, and you got into a fight with Jeremy Pedicini. Yeah, you broke my buddy Jesus's nose.
Really?
For
I
the
didn't know
record,
that. I didn't know
for
that.
the record, he served me up good a couple times. So I didn't get out of that unscathed by any means. And actually, it's like, I guess I was talking shit, and like I said, if you're from New York or California, you just really don't take that. And he decided that he didn't want to take the shit talk on New York or whatever I was saying. I don't think I was talking shit on New York, but he took it personally somehow. And we were standing there, and all of a sudden, he just served me up a couple lefts and a right, like a guy can box,
he got some hands, Jesus.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh fuck, dude, I'm about to get my ass kicked here, and I was hammered. So I'll square off with him a little bit, and so I started trying to box him a little bit, and he hit me a couple more times.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm gonna get my ass. I remember thinking that I'm gonna get my ass kicked here in front of everybody if I don't do something. So I remember thinking, and I just took the next punch and grabbed him, and bodied him, and then did a wrestling trip back down onto the ground, and then I was able to handle it from there. But yeah, for a minute, he was not somebody you want to box with, not at all.
No, yeah,
I never heard that.
No. But
and then later we squashed it, if I remember right, over the internet. He's like, "Hey, I was being a dick," and I was like, "Yeah, I was being an asshole too." No worries.
Yeah, I mean, when that much time goes by, people change so much, and
same with Jeremy Pedicini. He hit me up. It was like, "Hey, sorry about the drama." I was like, "Yeah, me too, man." And then I had drama with Mike Budnick too, and luckily he didn't kick my ass because he would have really fucked me up, dude. That guy crap.
You made it. You really dodged the bullet right there.
Yeah. Like he was gonna fuck me up too. Like we met face to face at a contest, and everybody was there, but he literally took pity on me, and then
you wanted to beat up Jeremy Pedicini too.
You don't want to fuck with Mike Budnick, especially not now. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. I went to go train with him. I'm a blue belt or whatever, so I'm just almost a newbie compared to him. And I went and trained with him, and he just tied me up, and he wasn't even trying. The guy's a fucking beast. Super cool dude.
That's cool though. After the beef, he just had to let you know in a calm way.
Yeah, and I was.
He had to let you know, he just
Yeah, and with that one, I actually wrote him out of nowhere and just apologized later down the road because I was being an asshole, And he really could have fucked me up bad at the time. He was way bigger than me and tougher, and it would have been ugly.
Yeah. I mean, Josh, as long as I've known you, you've always been a really, you might have had beef here and there, but you've always been a heartfelt guy, very straightforward guy, always speaks from the heart, very honest.
I think I'm a caring dude.
I think so too.
But I mean, in my mind, I'm a really nice guy. I guess that. I don't know if that counts for much, but in my mind, I'm pretty nice.
In my experience, you've been nice. But I didn't know we made a post, and there was a bit of some backlash and some lofty accusations. Some people were sending in your direction, making claims about attachment to certain ideologies, and some people saying
the fact that I even have to defend this is just absolutely insane. It's it'd be like if I was like, "Hey, man, I saw a logo of a company you did, and it looks like you're a pedophile, dude. Are you raping children? It looks like you're raping children. Did you see the P on there? It kind of looks like a child's penis, and that's code, for raping children, And so, Billy, please prove to me that you're not a child molester. Whoa. It's fucking ridiculous that I even have to do this, but I'll address it once.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but
I get you. It's not you. And I've been dealing with these people for months now. They're completely insane, and it's really what it is. It's I don't know what's happened in our society, but we're so polarized now that you have these whacked out dudes on the right, like QAnon, who think that the whole world is pedophiles, and that Joe Biden is some pedophile because he, was like hugging some kids, maybe inappropriately, but maybe he was just being affectionate too. They think he's like a lizard pedophile person, and they got their little groups, and they're going, oh, but and well, did you see the photo that they took? There's a missing cue ball there, so that stands for Q. And then the guy's watch is 3:15, and then you see this other picture with Biden that says 3:15, so that must mean that he's a pedophile, a part of the group with Jeffrey Epstein, and then you have these guys on the right or on the left that just see these fucking racists everywhere, like everywhere, everyone's a racist, like somehow. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know any racists. Like, supposedly, if you listen to these people, there's racists around every fucking corner. They're hiding, ready, waiting to just jump on a black dude and take everything he has. But for me, I don't know any of those people. It's 2021 in America. There aren't very many racists around here. There's a lot of people being called racist, but there's not a lot of people that actually are racist. So they're all hyped up over some logo I have for my company, and I didn't even make the fucking logo. Like I wasn't an artist at the time. So I just came up with the name because it's a motorcycle shop. We build motors, powerful motors. So I thought, the Power Speed Shop, that sounds like a cool name. Because this was 8 years ago when people weren't so fucking insane. We didn't think there was racists around every corner when Barack Obama was president. Everybody still had their wits about them. So, or at least we're not so fucking emotional and illogical, so now since I have a logo, it's the power, and there's lightning bolts. Oh, so the lightning bolts couldn't possibly be the electric spark from a spark plug, could it? No, in a motorcycle. And two, I didn't even tell those lightning bolts to go into the logo anywhere. I just told the person that made me the logo, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus so they can take a bunch of fucking heat for no reason. But the guy's not even white, mm-hmm. And he made the logo up for me. The thing they say is a white power sign in the middle. It's a circle with a Christian cross through the middle, a P, and another P. And then also the cross kind of looks like a crosshair of a rifle in a circle because we're all shooters and have light guns. So the whole idea.
And the P's for petty, right?
Yeah. So there's the power, and I like old English just like I always have. Like Senate always used to use old English. And then if you look at the one in the middle, it's a circle with a cross, but it's not a cross. When you look at it, it's not a full circle. It's broken there and broken, and it's a P. And then an upside down P, and then a crosshair, and these guys are like looking at all these different things and like coming up with like symbology and all this stuff, like accusing me of like being some like white supremacist. And I'm like, if I'm a white supremacist, I'm the worst white supremacist that is in America. Cause I mean, I sponsored black dudes, I'm part Jew. I'm like 30% Jewish. So, I guess I'm a self-hating.
You are from Florida, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I mean, that's what it comes down to too, is these people that believe this, they're all like soy latte drinking, self-hating people from San Francisco that are like in these whacked out, way far left chat rooms and all whacked out on soy and vegan tacos that they can't think straight, and they can't be rational and go like, what are the odds that this guy that was really heavily into rap music, who is a Christian, whose wife is part Native American, what are the odds that he might be a secret Klan member, when all he ever did was listen to rap music his whole life? Like, how does that math work out in your brain? I don't know, but they might want to put the soy latte down for a little bit and come back to reality. Like we're in America. There's not racists on every corner. You don't have to walk up and prove your non-racist bona fides to everybody. If you look back in all the old, like the skate companies and stuff like that, and all the stuff we used to do before everybody was so race obsessed, independent trucks had a logo on it that was an iron cross. Like,
Yeah,
are they all
independent trucks.
racist?
Are
they
I
all
always wondered
racist white
about that. Like,
supremacists?
how is that taken? Did that ever receive any scrutiny? I don't know.
Well,
Not until 2020.
I think they're changing their logo, but I mean that's fucking pretty rough to do
Are
for
they?
a company. I think they said they're going to, but I don't think they should. Why should they? Because a bunch of like people are all butthurt about it. It's like for no reason. It'd be one thing if they were racist, then okay, maybe you should change your logo. But are we really going to allow like self-hating white people that are so scared to have other people think that they're racist that they have to overtly be like call out every racist thing they see because it's like a sickness that they have. But should they have to like change their whole branding and their whole for decades so that some white liberals in San Francisco feel better about themselves? Like that's ridiculous. Metal Militia used a skull with a German like kind of Nazi style helmet on it. Are they all racist? No, they're just making a business. Arlo made a logo with Old English Senate on it, with a shaved head guy with a bat behind his head and a wife beater. Is that guy a white supremacist? He's a Jewish, so is he a white supremacist Jew? He also put "Destroy all girls" on the neck collar. Does he hate all girls? Did he really want to destroy all girls? No.
Okay.
We used to use our brains, in this world, and now we just act off emotion. And so
I can totally see how a lot of these issues are complex, and like you said, it's a very polarized time right now. There are I think it's good for like you to have addressed that, just because I feel like it's so being spoken about that I think it should be. And as long as I've known you, I've not gotten anything like that from you. I know there's this
why
I know
would you
in life, but then there's also this. No, exactly, but exactly.
It's America in it's 2020. Why would?
But then there's the you that exists, and then there's like the you that exists on Facebook or something, right? So that's not the same person.
Billy,
right?
you know a lot of white people, right?
Couple.
Yeah. How many of them are white supremacists?
I grew up in a very diverse place, New York, and in a skating community and a music community. So I didn't really surround myself with many who were white supremacists. So
there's not very many in America. Trust me. I've been to all over America. There's not very many. There's maybe like 5 in Kentucky in a fucking chat room. Like,
I'm sure there's racist people out there for sure, and there's people who have like these, biases and things like that. It's complex.
There's people that there's people that have everybody's biased at some point.
Sure.
But there's a difference between being a little biased here or there and being an active white supremacist that actively hates people and would make a logo to let everybody know how much he hates the I have customers that are black. Not a single one of them has ever said anything about my logo. Like, it's only white people that are all butthurt about it. Like, I don't get that.
No, fair enough. So, and you know what? I think it goes to go to another point. Like, a lot of people don't know that you said there's a Christian logo in there, that you're very much like Christianity and faith was like played a big part in your life. And like, that's like an incredible thing as well.
So it's just they make these assumptions, right? And they see things, and then they build up. It's like the QAnon thing. They see little things that really are nothing, but they start adding them all up. Like one of the guys went as far as to like look at my the gym that I train at for jiu-jitsu, because they use a Volknot that's from Norse mythology, and they said, "Oh, well, that's a racist logo. He's part of this." And it's like, okay. It's also part of Norse mythology for thousands of years. And the reason they use that logo is because in jiu-jitsu, we're big on triangles because it's how you have base, And so it's triangle, triangle, triangle. And it's a symbol of strength. So it's not, they put in this big code that it's a white, and it's not. It's the same thing with Biden hugging children. Is he a pedophile? Yeah. Absolutely not. He just hugged some children. Like, but when you link all these different things around there, like and you get so polarized and politicized in your mind, all these things start to like make sense in a sick way.
Here's a good thing, a place I think we should leave it off, because I think we already gave this subject too much attention, because
and that's the problem, is that like me even having to defend it now, it's like people that never heard about it now are going to see it, and they're going to go, now they're going to wonder, and then all that's going to be talked about for the next few weeks isn't the stories we told, isn't the skating history we covered. It's the fact that a bunch of kids think I'm a racist, and that I have to.
Well,
you're right.
I think
we
that
should focus on the
some
skating
good
part,
stories
but
in there
yeah.
too. We could segue this really quick, and I'm
But
sorry to
at that same, I'm not upset with you at all. So don't get me wrong. I had a great time. It's a great podcast. We covered a lot of really cool stuff, and unfortunately, it did have to be addressed because these people are whacked out, and you know, at some point you have to we have to say something about it.
Well, I think you should also have the opportunity to clear your name if something's going out there, right? So, and I think that's people who know you, and it's good to kind of be able to speak what you want to say. And, you know, I want to leave the subject alone right now because, like you said, I want to pick up where we left off on a lot of these positive topics and these things. You know, I want to talk about quickly what do you believe in before we get into questions. But I just want to say regarding this subject and things of this subject. I think it's the best place to start is always give someone the benefit of the doubt, whether you disagree with them or not. Just come from a place where you just don't start with the worst intentions. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not a therapist, but I want to leave it right there because we already gave that too much. So drop it right there quickly.
Then you're 100%.
We're going to open it up for questions in a second, and we're going to shout out
that people in America are good people, because we are. Okay. Your average American is a fucking great person, you know. Then that's down the political lines, left, right, center. Your average American, Muslim, Christian, gay, all of that, you know, run down the whole gambit. They're all really good people for the most part. There's only 1 or 2% that have shitty beliefs, you know, and you can't do anything about them really. But, you know, your average American is.
You heard it here first on Jump Street. Most people are good. And on Jump Street, like I said,
we like to
deal with the big issues on Jump Street. You thought this was a skate podcast. We deal with the big issues. But
so let's talk about what you believe in before we open up for questions. We'll do the little bit of what you believe in.
You go ahead.
But before we get into the what you believe in stuff, Billy, after the podcast is done, we're going to do another video separately for our Patreon where we're going to kind of go back. We've done this before in the past. We haven't done it in a while, but we have a new platform, so we're working on it now. We're going to watch a few sections with Josh of his What Do You Believe In, maybe Coup d'etat or like VG7 or something like that. And we're going to have Josh watch them, tell us the stories and all the interesting stuff behind it that you might not have known. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll be able to watch that in the next day or two. But we are going to talk a little bit about what you believe in, but we're going to do the whole play-by-play afterwards. So, What Do You Believe In, by the way, is one of the most iconic videos in blading ever. It's up there with like the Brain Fear Gons and all that stuff. And you had one of the most epic sections in there too. And it was the most unique section too, because you skated to 3 different sections, 3 different songs. Were you on the movie night that we did when we did?
It was like the first video that was directed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like
I think I was on the movie night. I think I was on the movie night for that. I was on a couple of the ones you guys did. That was pretty cool. But yeah, and even that was being in the right place at the right time. Honestly, I wasn't really supposed to be a main section in the video. I was supposed to be they were going to have me do like, because I was hurt, you know, I was barely coming back from skating. So I didn't, from the knee injury I had. So I didn't really, because I tore my knee up 3 times, you know. So there was all these different times where I was really hurt and coming back. And everybody thought I was done, you know, after the 3rd one on that other leg. So, you know, it was just going to be like, hey, let's have Josh do something for 30 seconds. You think you could cut with 30 seconds worth of footage, you know, so that we can have you in the B-roll and mix, you know, Aaron was going to go, you know, who's going to give you a section you can have, you know, 30 seconds. I was like, yeah, sure. So I just started getting footage, you know, and then all of a sudden we had all this fucking footage of like, because I started getting hyped and started, you know, amassing tricks and stuff. And all of a sudden we had like a couple sections worth of shit. Like, and so then Arlo and Joe kind of had to rewrite the whole thing. and then I came out having one of the best sections I've ever done, in my opinion. It's probably my favorite one that I did.
Agreed.
Personally.
That's
Just 'cause
my
it
favorite
meant
section of yours.
too.
That's my favorite section of yours too.
Yeah,
That
me
and
too.
the VG7 are my two favorite of yours. Like I just good parts.
Yeah, and it was another thing. It's always more than just the skating for me. It's moments in time, and that was a really cool moment in time for me. That I thought I was done. Everybody else thought I was done, and it was just like a real kind of, for me, it was like kind of like a Rocky Balboa comeback kind of feeling,
Totally.
Yeah, and in my own mind, like, of course, but when you're counting yourself out and you think you're done, and all of a sudden the fire starts lighting again, and your knee's not hurting so much, and you're finding some tricks that you like, and all of a sudden the section starts amassing, and then to have 3 sections, 3 different songs, it was just a really cool way to. And it was kind of like my last real section, so to go out with a bang was pretty cool. Too. I was happy about that.
Yeah, your last section should be your favorite section. Now, Billy said in the last episode too, I think, that his last section was his favorite section also, which I think that's a good way to keep it going, And then
it's like when a boxer goes out on top, instead of takes all those fights and starts losing all crappy at the end, and he starts looking bad at the end of his career.
You don't want to be washed up.
And that's what,
you don't want to be washed
and
up.
that's what I did.
Quit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I didn't want. And that's kind of why I stopped skating.
Me too. I can relate.
Yeah. I really, in my mind, I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted, like George Costanza says, always leave them wanting more.
I like all your Seinfeld references, by the way.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that. Always leave them wanting more.
Yeah, that was a great show, by the way. But
oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, you always leave them wanting more. I mean, if I had done another 5 years and just kind of had some shitty sections here or there, people would always just be like, yeah, Josh was good back in the day, yeah, he was really good. And then, it sucked that I gave up the money I could have made by just hustling my name and stuff. But to be able to go out on top was kind of important to me. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to remember the good stuff I did, not the shitty sections I could have put together,
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Completely agree.
Josh, we've had you on for quite a bit, so I think now's a good time to open up for questions. We have had nearly 400 people watching us live the whole time, and it's been pretty.
Is that a lot or a little?
I think it's a lot for us, man. This is still, Josh. It's not like the old days in MTV Sports.
Yeah,
we're still working our way back.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking.
We're not 40,000 people.
A relative basis.
Relatively Jump Street wise, that's good.
Generally, we'll maybe have around 200. So this is around.
How many did Julio get? Let's say that.
Is he the benchmark?
Oh,
well, we did Julio in the beginning when we first started. We had a smaller following, but I remember
it's been a while since we've had John Julio on. So we've grown since then.
Yeah, it's like hard to compare.
Don't bail him out that easy. Don't.
Well, I think you have more than him now, to be honest.
Yeah, so. I definitely do it, but I think part of that is that was like 2 years ago.
So I'll be sure to let him know, man.
you knew how it was gonna go, John.
So you want him to admit that he got paid more than you did on USD, and you want him to know that you have more people watching your live than his live.
We're coming after John.
Yeah.
All right. So
he should also know that I copied a ton of tricks from him. So
there you go. Got to flatter
respect.
him. We have a ton of super chats, by the way. So I'm gonna start picking these off. In the meantime, we have a super chat from Tim Hawk, who says, can't watch live, a big ups, man. Awesome profiles, Day of the Rope VG7 Espionage. Acclaimed guest director of FP's VG12 part. He said, no politics, please. Well, we broke one of those rules, but going forth, we'll dumb down the politics and stuff. But yeah, your Day of the Rope section was one of my favorites of yours, too. Super chat.
That was a cool one. That was a cool one, too.
That was like when a little after I first started skating, so that was one of the first videos that like really impacted me.
I think that was like my first pro section, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was around that time too. I'm sure it was like a lot of those people's first section, like pro section. Did we lose Josh? Yo, Josh.
Yo, can you hear me?
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you glitched for a little bit. But yeah, so we have a super chat from Jared Curtis. Thank you so much. Chad Hornish, reliable Chad. Dimitri Pukyarev. Sorry, I can't pronounce that too well. Older blading, Chad Hornish again said by better internet, and that was funny that your internet just glitched on that one too. Older blading.
I don't know if
again.
that's my internet.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah, I don't know, but Billy seemed fine on my end, so I'm gonna blame it on your internet. Keith C. Juan Zavala said, "This is always best money spent. Thank you for your support, Juan." James LaMarche says, "What do you feel is your biggest contribution to blading?"
Shit. I mean, I guess if I would say maybe USD. You know, helping that get off the ground. If like as far as like a lasting thing that is kind of ongoing, because all the companies I pretty much did besides Rain are kind of dead and gone. So that's something I kind of helped pioneer that is still doing some good. So I'd say probably.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge contribution now. Still around today, so we're still good. We have a bunch more super chats I just want to go through real quick. Bin had Hunnits, some name. He said Cody. I don't know if that means anything. Do you know what that means? Okay, he's like, maybe you just want to shout out Cody. Sean Pellegrino. We have another one from James LaMarche. Says, do you feel like Murder really should have won that IMYTA?
Murder is sick. He's fucking sick. So yeah, I'll give that to
him. He did kill it too.
Yeah, he's a killer, dude.
He definitely killed it.
Yeah. I don't know if I was there either, so it would be hard for me to judge.
True. Hella Fat says, Petty, huge fan from Delaware. I got two questions. Two questions in one. How's your left knee? And are you making stickers of your face tat? Shout out 302 crew.
Which one?
I don't know. I don't know which one he's referring to.
Yeah. The cross or the dagger. But I guess the answer is the same. No, because I don't make stickers. But what was the other question? I'm sorry.
How's your left knee?
Oh, my left knee. Both of my knees are okay these days. I mean, they're kind of they're a little shaky skating. But I've learned to kind of double. If you double up a knee brace, you'll be all right. If you have bad knees, and then also you always got to heat or ice when you get back, and then heat afterward, and then ice again. So if you take care of your body, your body will take care of you. So just do that. The thing that's really fucked me up, honestly, is my lower back, and it's one of those things where I don't think it's ever going to be good again. It's still not good. I could any minute I could move the wrong way and not walk for a week. I don't know whether it's an injury from skating, because it just kind of came up randomly. I never really hurt myself. It just started really fucking me up. So that's the one that's kind of nagging me. At some point it'll probably cripple me. I'm worried, because there's no real fixing it. It's not like a slip disc or anything. It's all the muscles in the back just seize up and swell up, and I can't move. It's really kind of weird. You
got to talk to Shuda about your back.
I've been talking to Jeff. Jeff has some back problems too.
No, but did you talk to Shuda about it? He's got a guy, and I'm not gonna spill the beans because I want him to save this story for when he comes on the show one day. But ask Shuda about his back, and he'll tell you the story. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Because I got to do all types of like these reverse hyper stuff, and if I stay on top of it and I really work out every morning and then stretch out real good before I train jiu-jitsu and stuff, it's okay. It still kind of hurts, but not too bad. But if I sleep on it for a bit and I lay on the couch for a weekend or two, I'll wake up, I can't walk that well. And then it's just a constant thing there where I just know, if I move the wrong way or if I bend down to pick something up the wrong way, that it's curtains for a few weeks. I'm not really walking.
Yeah. Well, along those lines.
Personal question: how long you been doing jiu-jitsu?
4.5 years, maybe 5 years. But I wrestled for.
You're purple belt or blue?
I'm right on the cusp of getting my purple belt. So I've got a blue belt with 3 stripes, and then I would have had my last stripe before purple, but COVID hit and I hurt my back, so I haven't been able to train as much as I want. If I would have kept training, I'd probably be where I need to be. But
I wish you luck on your journey to purple belt, man. That's I
You
got a few
train?
buddies who are no, I got some buddies. I mean, I always did boxing growing up,
Yeah.
and I still dabble with boxing, and I did judo as a kid, but my brother did wrestling, and I had some friends that actually got a buddy who's a black belt under Henzo Gracie, and another one who trains at like Marcelo Garcia's in the city.
Oh,
But
that's it.
I
Those are
yeah,
big
they're
schools
like
right
one of my buddies like 135, and he could just like kill me in like 2 seconds whenever he wants, and it's just like very emasculating, and I don't feel really good about it. But I really respect the Brazilian
there. Girls
jiu-jitsu.
do it to you.
Huh?
When the girls that are black belts and brown belts, when they tie you up and choke you out, like it's very emasculating. Like
because there's nothing you could do, man. It's
there's
like
nothing you can do. You're like you're trying your hardest.
Yeah. But that's cool, man. I wish you luck on your journey because that's a good one.
You should train, man. It's very close to skating and surfing and all that. Like the mindset that it takes to train. It's very, you're like, I almost really think it's like linking tricks together, you know, like doing lines and setting things up. And you can tell, like when you watch somebody train or roll, you know, when they're sparring, you can tell when they used to skate or surf or whatever. There's a style that they kind of have in it. And it's pretty cool. You should start. It's a lot of fun. It gets to be addicting.
Yeah, I mean, I've always dug like boxing, but I'm gonna maybe look into that too because I've always had an interest on jiu-jitsu. I just like worry about my knees and my joints and stuff like that. But
you'll be fine. You'll be sore for just a little bit, but just double up on the knee braces and you'll be fine.
Cool.
And it'll be the best decision you ever made. You'll be like, "Fuck, I should have been doing this a while ago." Seriously, it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
The best.
All right.
The best.
Yeah, the best.
I'm gonna continue with these super chats for now. Billy, do you want me to just continue them because I know they're all lined up for me? It might be harder for you.
Yeah, you have them lined up.
All right, so there's still a lot more. That's why I asked you. So Mr. Brown's Goldie said, "OG Josh Petty 302 crew again." Fresh Media, Rashard Johnson. Shout out Rashard Johnson. Also, shout out Dominic Sagona. We got some heavy hitters in this chat, like I said. Dominic Sagona said, "Love you guys. Thanks for all the hard work." We love you too, Dominic.
I made that guy.
I like that one.
He owes his whole life to me.
Sagona, can you confirm or disconfirm this if you're in the chat still? Continue with the super chat. Stephen Babcock, Jared Curtis, Jay O'Neill said, "Josh, favorite tricks you saw go down in person? Question mark.
That I saw go down in person.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of a Julio one that I can think of. But pretty much anything John did in front of me was pretty much, you know, it. Like John Julio has always been my favorite skater. Mm-hmm. And Dominic Sagona. Don't get me wrong. Dom is, if it's John and Dom, like those guys style wise are just insane good. But it was just such a huge, massive, really good tricks that it's really hard to me to pick one of the ones that they did because they could do little things and still be one of my favorites. Ryan Jacklone used to do a lot of cool shit too. The Misty 500, or the first time he did the Misty flip, I remember that. I was like, oh, or not the first time he did it, but the first time I saw him do it.
Totally, yeah.
He's got a unique flip, yeah.
Yeah, and then but if I want to say that the two tricks I remember the most, or the one trick I remember the most seeing, because I wasn't at the one that Dustin did, the England poster. I wasn't there that day. Mm-hmm. But the one Dustin did for coup d'etat, I think, rolling in off that fucking big roof, the big transition church roof.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was going to die. Like, I seriously did. I really, and all of us did. We thought that we were about to witness the death of one of our friends.
Wait, wasn't that Brain Fear Gone? Or was that Brain Fear Gone?
It might have been Brain Fear Gone, but I was there when he did it. Whichever one it was, whether it was Talk.
Yeah, you were there.
I was there.
Yeah, let's get them skates. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys all thought he was going to die.
I know that I did, and I know Joe did too. Like, I thought he was going to die because it was, he couldn't even get up there very easily on his feet. You know, like he had to like scramble up there, and I just thought he was going to just roll down and on just
Yeah, the climbing up is like the craziest part of that.
yeah. And then we had to throw the skates up to him, and then he's standing up there, and it's just so high up there, and it's a roof. It's not like a nice tile, like it's shitty roof material.
Shingles.
Yeah.
Rough shingles.
And then the drop in is just absolutely fucking crazy. Like it's one of those things we drove by every day, and you look at it, just like, look at that fucking thing, dude. No one's ever gonna do that, you know.
Wow.
And then that not only is the drop in just absolutely fucking insane, the fucking gap at the end is absolutely insanely huge, you know. So I thought for sure like he was gonna come off of it, land, and just stop, you know, because you're going so fast, so far down, so far out, that if you land backwards, you're just gonna, I just figured his wheels were gonna collapse and he was gonna whack back and smack his head. I thought he was gonna die. Like if he didn't die dropping in and falling and rolling down the fucking whole side of it and then flying off the end, I figured he was gonna land and die.
Did you try to stop him, bro? I mean, if you really thought he was gonna die, did you try? I mean, what'd you do? No.
It's Dustin,
He
man.
was a threat skating back then. You were like, you know, you had.
I mean, I thought he was gonna die, but it's also Dustin. So I thought he was 50-50. I thought he was gonna die a few times, and he never did.
He never died.
Yeah. So maybe 50-50. You know, like
it's like a 50-50.
Yeah,
pretty good.
But he tried it a few times, so that gets the odds like a little bit off there. Like, you know, you're 50-50. Okay, how many times are you gonna do it? And now all of a sudden you're.
You tried it a few times.
Yeah.
Damn, it only showed one in the video.
You tried that more than once?
I think he fell the first time he did. He 180'd it and fell. Like he hit and rolled.
Yeah.
And you had to do it again.
Oh shit! They only showed one clip in the video.
Because I mean he fell. You know,
just kept falling.
Yeah, it wasn't like an entertaining fall, if I remember right.
Yeah,
it was just
probably all the same.
Yeah. The hype was the trick, like, you know. But, so yeah, I don't think he made it the first time. If I remember right. It's a long time ago, but I think he fell the first time and had to do it again.
Well, that's an epic trick to witness in person. Even though he didn't land it, it's still fucking crazy to see.
Yeah, it was dude, I saw a bunch of crazy shit happen on skates in person. I just can't remember all of them. But
no, that's a good one though. The DL one is good.
Yeah, that one is a memory one where I was just like, whoa, dude. But I mean, I saw a lot of crazy shit in skates where Aaron did some stuff that was just fucking crazy. Like I couldn't, you know, Feinberg. There's one thing he did at one of the contests in Florida that never really got the credit that I thought it deserved. It was when Frank Sinatra died. The day Frank Sinatra died, there was a contest in Florida, and Aaron Feinberg rolled. Yeah, and Aaron Feinberg
shout out Frank Sinatra. Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Shout out Sinatra.
Yeah, Ryan Jack. I remember that because Ryan Jacklin was at the contest and he skated his section to "I Did It My Way."
Oh no way!
I could. Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that actually.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, regular man. Yeah, so Aaron comes off of the vert ramp, and it was kind of like up higher because there was also like a 10-foot quarter pipe that was like downstairs onto the top of the 10-foot vert quarter pipe. And he comes off the top, and I mean, just jumping off of it into this vert quarter pipe was just insane. You know, come boom, you know, jumping, you know, 5, 6 feet, 7 feet out, and then dropping into a vert quarter pipe. You know, there's just so much shit that could go wrong. Like, you know, you could overshoot it, you can undershoot it. You know, you pretty much have to land right in the fucking pocket. You know, and then you have to roll out of this quarter pipe going 100 miles an hour. You know, into the contest. He did it during his run, and the last time he did it, he 360'd off that fucker, off, and then down into the fucking quarter pipe.
I remember that. That was in high rollers, like that.
Yeah, probably.
It was like the white Rams. He 360'd off into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick question.
It didn't look as crazy, but it was nuts.
You had like a weird relationship with Aaron, right? Like you were like it was like a big brother, little brother thing. You used to kind of like go hard on him a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, for show though. I mean, I love Aaron. Aaron's great. He's a great dude. You know,
Yeah.
we lived together for a while. Me and him and Anton and Travis had an apartment for a while in Irvine. So no, I get along with Aaron pretty really good. He's a good dude. But
Yeah,
at
shout
first,
out Aaron. I love
before
Aaron.
we lived together, we didn't really get along. Like I didn't hate him or anything, but he always had he was rich. You know, he had a bunch of money from contests, so he always had weed.
He was rich.
Yeah.
He had a really nice car, like an M3 that he drove like insane fast. But then once we moved in, like we lived together for a while, like we became pretty good friends. He's a good dude.
Great.
Crazy skater, one of the best skaters I've ever known. Like he could do anything.
Ever, for
Yeah,
sure.
I can imagine skating with him
For
in street
sure.
in person is like insane at that time.
Yeah. Him, Shima, and Latimer. Those three, when they were at their peak, I don't think there was anything they couldn't do. Like
No, for sure. That was that squad was.
yeah, when they
Serious
were
squad.
all at the peak, like they could destroy anything you put in front of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to keep it moving with these super chats because they're still
Yep.
piling in as we speak. Steve Steinsmitz says, "Hey Josh, what's your favorite photo that was taken of you other than your cover photo of your face?" So, photo that was taken of you other than your cover photo of your face. Says longtime fan.
Favorite photo. For me, it was the one that I always liked, and I only noticed it because somebody sent me a still of it. Is there's a sequence of me, and I think it was in What Do You Believe In? Actually, I do a top acid to front or a top acid to fast slide down this like big rail that and Jess Darenforth took the sequence, and there's the main picture never really got published, but the sequence did. It was in Daily Bread, I think, and it was top acid, and he caught me in right when I caught the front fast slide, and I'm just really like over the top of it, and like just have like this stance like with my leg, and I'm just like bounce perfectly on the fast slide, and I just always thought that one looked really fucking cool, like the style behind it, just everything looked really fucking cool. It looked like I always pictured fast slide should look like.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like, yeah.
My favorite photo of yours, it just popped into my head when we were thinking about this now, is also I think in Daily Bread. It was like a Section 8 photo or something like that, but it was just you true topsoiling a little ledge, and it was like a long shot. I forgot who took it, but whoever took it, the caption says something like, it wasn't like a crazy trick or anything like that, but it was like the timing of you coming off the ledge because you weren't really on the ledge at the picture. Do you remember this photo or no? It was like
Was
a
it the
long shot.
one where I had a basketball jersey on?
I think so. You had a basketball jersey and on a lot of stuff, but it was like you
Yeah.
true topsoil. You probably had like the Tommy Gear keychain hanging out
Yeah.
the pocket thing.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I think I had like the Bulls jersey on.
Yeah, probably.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but I had the Tommy Gear or the
Yeah. That,
England,
yeah.
yeah, I like
So
that photo
fucking
too.
fun. Yeah, that was one of my favorite photos, and it was just cool that you weren't even really on the trick at the time where the photo was taken, but you were still in the position. That's what made the photo cool, and that one always stuck out in my head. I remember it since then.
There was another cool one that I liked that was like a zero spin top alley-oop sole, and it was in England. It was in England, like when we filmed the England video, and I had a blue or black shirt with red the ENG across it, and a beanie or something. It was taken in England, and it wasn't much of a trick. It was just a little thing, but I liked the picture. It looked really cool, I thought.
Hey, guys, I'm sorry. I have to shut down the podcast real quick.
Okay.
So do you keep up on skating? Do you know who John Bellino is, Josh?
I do keep up kind of on skating. I know who John Bellino is.
Okay.
But you asked me like what the a certain trick he did and a certain thing. I'm probably not gonna know it.
Okay. Well, he's a ripper. He's the man. He's one of the best skaters out now, and been for a while. But
What's his
texted
nickname?
me, John Bellino. I don't know. I think it's
What's
just
his
John
nickname?
Bellino.
His nickname?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Then yeah, I'm thinking right. I'm thinking.
He's texted me to shut down the podcast to ask you two
Damn,
questions.
he texted you. Damn.
He texted me. One question: did you grab your skates out of the pool after you threw them in, and what do you believe in?
Yes.
You did get those skates again.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other question is, why were you mad at the bunny flyer when you kept ripping down the bunny flyer before the 360 attempt? And what do you believe? You kept ripping it down. What was the?
Where'd all that rage
know,
come from?
So we never really got an explanation of any of what that movie meant. Okay, so for everybody that like thinks like we all knew it was like a big flowing story, like I don't know who the bunny was supposed to be. I mean, I know who was in the bunny suit, but I don't know who the bunny was supposed to be. I don't know why he was under the bed. I don't know why Karen Robe turned into the bunny. Like
who was in the bunny suit?
Arlo never explained any of that to me. And then as far as what was on the poster, it was just a missing bunny poster. There was nothing on it. It was just part of the whole, like, because I had the little rabbit. Actually, I kept that rabbit until it died in Florida.
Oh, no
when
way.
I moved. Yeah, I had it forever until my dog, and the rabbit's name was Jim Beam, the little white bunny. And me and my wife took care of it forever.
Whoa.
Like, yeah, until my pit bull killed it. Yeah.
Oh no! What?
Yeah, the rabbit got out, and then my pit bull saw a little white rabbit running and chased after it and grabbed it like by the back legs, broke its legs. So then I had to take it out to the forest and put a bullet in its head.
Whoa!
It felt so horrible.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is a sad way for what you believe in.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, that was
the B-roll right there. That was the B-roll of what do you believe in.
Yeah, they wanted like $100 to put the bunny down, and I was like, "Are you serious? Like, you're gonna make me shoot this bunny? Like, a bullet's 50 cents, you know?" Like,
oh my
god. They said, "Well, we can't." I'm like, "All right." I lived by a forest, and I just walked in the back, and But anyway, yeah. So who was in the bunny suit? Billy Prislin.
Billy Prislin.
Yeah.
How come Sagona says Travis was in the bunny suit?
He might have been in the bunny suit too, but the time where it was dancing, and stuff like that, that was Billy.
Did you?
I think we put Travis in it too, though. So Dom's right.
Did you see? Arlo did a whole thing on what do you believe in? Did you ever watch that?
No.
He did a whole thing.
I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying you should probably watch that or it might have been a podcast or something like that. It was from one of the Winter Clashes a few years ago when Arlo was there, but he did a whole thing, like a whole panel on what do you believe in and all this stuff behind it. So you got to check that out. I don't know where it is. Just Google it.
I was there, and me and Joe were somewhat responsible, and I was there for the night Arlo decided to make What Do You Believe In.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he wasn't sober. We'll put it that way.
Well, the plot line doesn't seem like it. He would have been.
Yeah. Yeah. And he wasn't drunk. He wasn't drunk either. If that narrows it down even.
All right, we still have a ton of super chats to go through before we get through the other questions too in it. So
yeah, I think
when I think I'm done, it just like piles up more and more. But continuing with the super chats, Zach Gideon put $5 and he says for Billy. I guess that was for you, Billy. I don't know why. Harith Hassan.
Thank you.
Dimitri again says I love you, Josh.
I'm trying to like give the shaka, but I don't have a lot of
you gotta fit in there. New Light CBD said thank you, Josh. 2021 Americans are good people.
Yeah, tell them to send me some CBD.
There you go. You might have a new endorsement right there from Josh Petty.
Yeah. Show me some love.
Sean Michelson says or asks, Brian Jaggers is your half brother, I believe. Are you still close? Is he doing all right? Isn't he like a stepbrother or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Brian's my stepbrother. So Brian ended up getting schizophrenia a few years after kind of skating developed or ended. So he's still alive, but he's got some health issues. So just put it that way. But yeah, he was. I mean, I grew up with him. He's my stepbrother. So we started skating together in San Diego, and yeah, no, he's a great dude. But yeah,
Send out love
had,
to Brian Wildman.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely sending out love to him.
he's had some struggles. We'll put it that way.
Where Brian, we're sending good vibes your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in he personally doesn't really realize, what's going on. So in his mind, he's fine, But if you know what paranoid schizophrenia is, it's tough on the family.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna. There's the last round of super chats right
Sorry,
here, and one
sorry
last
to
question.
bum everybody out.
No,
And bring it
that's.
to, but if anybody's wondering, that's Brian's still running around. He's just if you're a praying person, pray for him.
Yeah.
First help.
Definitely praying for Brian. Hopefully, we send you a lot of positive vibes, Brian. Brooke C, shout out Brooke C, says, I love the podcast. We are all good people. Joey Scanella, big shout out Joey Scanella. Surfblader, super chat from John Schmidt. Chris Edwards says, love you guys. Great to see you, Petty.
Edwards, the airman.
The airman himself.
My original favorite skater. I love that dude.
Tiano Footy. And the last super chat question right now from Alan Bombersback says, inspirational sections. My folks bought Fifth Elements in 1998 because of VG7. Because your VG7 section. How many knee surgeries have you had, and what's the hardest thing about recovery? You kind of touched on this before, but
yeah, I had 3. So I had 3 on the left leg that was like they were pretty bad, but they weren't full removals. Except for the last third one, it was pretty. They took out a lot of meniscus. The one on my right, they just destroyed it. Not, and it's not their fault. They were great surgeons. They did a lot of surgeries for Danny Way and for some other pro skateboarders.
cool.
So they weren't slouches by any means. But at the time, there just wasn't a lot of tech for it. My knees are okay. They're not great for skating. I couldn't be like a pro skater doing any big gaps or anything like that. But if I just want to skate around, like the couple tricks that I filmed, me all fat and chubby trying to do a torque slide, they were fine for that, and I don't have daily pain from them or anything like that. I can train, I could be fine. But if I had to, if I move the wrong way, I could hurt them. I got to be careful, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Billy, do you have any questions lined up? I was not paying attention to the chat at all.
We just got a new super chat in from Rocky Rollers, and he says, who's
Rocky
your
Rollers.
current favorite skater?
Oh, easy. Derek Henderson.
Mm-mm. He's ripping. Oh, the intuition flag in the back. Is that a poster? What is that? A banner?
That's his intuition poster.
Poster, right?
Yeah, that dude's fucking. He's got style. He skates real fast. He's hardcore. That's what skating should look like right there.
Good choice. Shout out Derek Henderson.
Yeah.
Jump Street alumni also.
And I got his skates.
Billy, do you have another
He's a
one
ripper.
lined up by any chance?
No, I actually don't. And the reason why is because we have so many
It's going
people
so
interacting in this chat that I can't scroll past a certain point. So literally all the questions that were lined up are gone.
Yeah. Same thing happens to me too. Every time I switch back from the super chats, I kept getting pushed back. But I will say this for now. Dominic Sagona says that it's your fault that we started putting tongues in our skates.
Yeah,
is that true?
That is my fault.
You started that? I didn't know you started that.
Yeah.
Well, I actually think, to be honest, Austin, I don't think we have to take many more questions. We had a lot of super chats.
We're pretty
long
deep into
podcast.
it. Yeah, it's true. That's
but
true.
yeah,
so Josh.
Tongues.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you for joining us. We're going to be doing that thing after with the section real quick, so hang out. But do you have anything that you want to leave off the community with? Some shout outs, some big ups, anything like that? Whatever the kids say.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would just say if it was, you know, I know that I have always in my skating when I was skating, I put a lot of emphasis on how things looked and how they, you know, and that was always what's important to me, how the industry looked, how it looked to the average person, you know, not just to other skaters, you know. Um, did it come off cool? When people look at it, do they want to be part of that? You know, and I've always strove to like make it look cool to progress the sport. You know, to get more people involved, because without more people involved, you don't have a sport. You know, eventually it just dies out. So you know, what really needs, you know, and I'm not saying they're not doing a good job right now because I don't really know, and it might not make a difference, but you know, the way in my mind to progress the sport is to make everything look really cool. You know, make every trick look as good as you can. If it's going to be in a video, it should look really good, or as good as you can make it. And then, you know, just make skating look cool. You know, make it look like something that somebody sees and goes, "Man, I want to do that." You know, I want to be part of that group. I want to be part of that. You know, that scene. And put that foremost in your mind of how to make the sport better. It doesn't matter how hard the trick is, you know. It matters on, you know, is it cool? You know, is it and that's how I see it. So if I could have any advice, I know I always went for that way. I know a lot of other pros. I'm not going to name their names, but I know a lot of the other guys I also thought the same way. So that would be my only advice. And then also take care of your bodies. You know, when they go out, they don't really come back. So, you know, that kind of stuff. And then, you know, when you sign contracts, make sure you understand what they mean. You know, and make sure that when the companies that are making money off you pay you. You know, don't let them get off for making a bunch of money off you and not giving you any.
Well, there's not too many dollars being tossed around these days.
And
anyway,
that's bullshit,
but,
in my opinion, because there's companies making money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are. You know, they're not in it for the rollerblade. Isn't in this game for out of the kindness of their heart. You know, like, you know, big skate companies are making money. You know, if every pro skater demanded money, they would be getting paid money. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to get together and just demand it. It's just like anything else. If everybody's going to skate for free, then there ain't never going to be any money. There's no corporation that's going to go, "Oh, I want to spend more money on the bottom line." No, they're going to if you can skate for free, they're going to let you skate for free. If they're selling stuff with your name on it, they should be paying you a salary. And if every pro skater said, "I'm not going to put up with this anymore," you know, and unionized almost, then they wouldn't be able to put up with it. They'd have to pay. And then guys could make a living off skating again. And then the sport could really progress, because when you're not having to work and all you have to do is skate, you know, you progress.
Hey, it's true. And, you know, some companies have been making some headway. Royalties went up from when I was skating like $2.50 a skate to now, you know, John Julio introduced $10 and then $30 a skate. And so things are progressively getting better. It seems to be on an upward trajectory. So I agree with you. And I think things are going in a good direction.
Keep in mind, I'm not in the loop, you know, so this is just my opinion. For all I know, maybe they're doing that, you know, great. You know, maybe there's something that I'm not seeing that is a cause for it. You know, I don't know. So, you know, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt.
So I could,
honestly, it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks for coming on, and it was really cool to see you like doing. I would love to see you pick up your podcast again, because it was cool to see you being engaged with Joe and Richard and you know, Jeff and things like that. That was really fun to catch some of those. So honestly, if you pick that up again, because I know you can't really skate much. So if you could, like, you know, do something like that, that would be something that would be cool that you guys can do and contribute still.
Yeah, it would be fun, but I have a feeling you might have just got the last Josh Petty interview. So
no,
for quite some time. So yeah, So you're the lucky ones. Yeah.
All right.
Well, hopefully that changes. But people should check out the Future Prospects podcast, even if you haven't yet. There's only 2 episodes up, but they're definitely worth watching. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, I mean, we might do another one. It's all logistics problems. I mean, trying to get all 4 of us together and then get a guest on and then get us all with the same free time and then getting someone to edit it and then hype it. And someone's got to run the social media. And it's like Joe's a lawyer. I'm running a business. Rashard's running a business.
Yeah.
Jeff is running a business. You know, we all have families and wives and kids. And it's just, it's so hectic that it's almost impossible to get everybody and a guest all on at the right time and get all our computers working and then edit it on the free. It's just, it's a fucking nightmare. Like it really was.
We know that firsthand.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Yeah,
and
Jeff.
thank you everyone, all the super chatters. We've had over 300 people consistently this whole time, people in and out. And I think it was really good to hear your perspective on a lot of things. So thank you for sharing that with us. And stay tuned, everyone who is well, not stay tuned, but keep your eyes open because we are doing we're going to be watching What Do You Believe In real quick with Josh, and then we're going to be letting him go because we've been keeping too much of him for his time.
Yeah, it's late. It's late.
It's getting late now. All right, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for watching. If you're on
Thanks so
Patreon, I'll
much.
see you guys later. Peace.
Thanks.